Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Do you know, I think I do the good mornings the same amount every single time. I just kind of, I'm kind of quiet, aren't I? Testing. Haha. Hello. Okay, hello. How is everyone doing today? Wait a second, what the fuck is this? Ayo? Chat. We're gonna pull on Dar real quick. Give me a second. Do. Start a voice call. Dar, you better pick up the phone. I'm gonna put you back deeper into the basement.
I'm trying to eat my pancakes.
Well, too fucking bad I don't think anybody can hear you yet. 1 second while I do this. Properties. Nope. No.
I can't have shit.
Yeah, this is Detroit. I'm sorry. Welcome to Detroit. Home of Detroit. That's the wrong thing. Why am I capturing that? There it is. Speak, motherfucker. Please speak.
There. You said please, I'll speak.
Continue speaking. Speak more.
La di da doo di da dee ba da ba da day. Hi, I'm the shark.
All right, Chad. Is that loud enough? Can you hear Dar? All right. Dar's quiet. Dar, speak more. Keep talking.
There's that better. Fucking move my mic to the right spot, I guess.
You don't have to. I could have just turned up your volume, but hey, fine. Anyways, hello everybody. Hello. So I just noticed there's a 40% sale on Uber Eats, and I was thinking about ordering Uber Eats. And there's a top offer. There's a buy one get one free on world famous pancakes specifically today. The world famous the world famous pancake combo. Actually, what else is there? Quick 2-egg breakfast, lame. Build your own omelet. Big steak omelet. New world famous pancake combo. So do you think I should get some pancakes this morning?
Yes.
Chat, should I get some pancakes this morning? Should I get pancakes this morning? Because I kind of want an actually good breakfast, and I haven't eaten anything, chat. Well, I had no. Sorry, chat. Killian said no. Killian said no. No pancakes. No.
I just realized something I can do and torture you with.
Oh God, no, you can't. Also, good morning, Dar. Thank you for getting first, you bastard. You sneaky man. Kidding. Love you. Mwah. Thank you, Keeper of Faith, for getting second, and thank you for Moreau for getting third. And hello, Lala, the little alien. How you doing? Good morning, Echo. Good morning.
I'm just gonna copy Vanya's thing and change it up a bit.
Yeah, I'm such a cute little kitty. Ugh, fuck you. Fuck you. Who else is here? Who else is here? Good morning, Killian. Good morning. I think I saw a geek over here. Shrooms, Geeks, and Gays. Love the name. Love the name. How you doing? Good morning. Is that a 7TV emo? Okay, so y'all didn't tell me that like 7TV needs to be connected to your Twitch to be functioning. Who's actually a little sleepy? It's me. Oh, you slept a little. I also slept very little. I didn't realize. No. I didn't realize that it was like, because I was trying to connect it to my stream chats. And I didn't realize that I have to do an additional thing. Now, I still can't see it in my overlay, but you guys can use it at least. So, hey, at least you're happy, right?
It shows up in your overlay.
No. It shows up on the screen overlay. I have a chat overlay on my screen that goes over every app. I actually specifically changed to one that's more readable because it wasn't working. But now I can change to the one that's less readable, but it will have it in the right place. So, you know, that's a thing. Anyways, pancakes. We're going to order pancakes before we get started today. Or I can order, you know, actually, I might order like the, wait, how much is that? Is that a breakfast sample? World famous pancake combo. The new world famous pancake combo. Chat, do I get an omelet or do I get an omelet with pancakes or do I get new world famous pancake combo? Or do I get the sampler that has pancakes, sausage, ham, egg, bacon, and hash browns? Omelet with pancakes? Omelet with pancakes? Okay. We'll do the big steak omelet. Standard omelet. Oh, delicious. Oh, 3 pancakes. Yes. And the pancakes we're going to be getting are... Oh my god, they make me throw $3 on top of it to get the nice pancakes. Protein power pancakes. What? Buttermilk, chocolate chip, chocolate chip, chocolate chip, chocolate chip. So I'm getting 2 omelets for like $25, 2 giant omelets for $25, and 8 pancakes, 6 pancakes. Perfect. That will give me breakfast for tomorrow too.
Honestly,
and potentially the day
not enough
after.
pancakes.
You and your 10 pancakes, my god.
I got pancakes for days.
Oh, and orange juice. Oh, I want orange juice. Hell yeah. Oh, give me orange juice. Okay, view cart. Go to checkout. 18 to 36 minutes. That's fine. I should put on like 55 pancakes, 55 fries. Okay. Well, chat. Then Dar's gonna entertain you for a little bit while I put on clothes that I can go outside in. It's gonna take me just a minute here.
You need clothes to go outside.
Yes.
That's funny.
Well, like legally, yes. 1 second, chat. Entertain them, Shark. I believe in you.
You know, I'm half tempted to just be silent the whole time, but I feel like that'd be too mean. All right, chat. How we doing? Ugh. Half tempted. Bad. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. That sounds like a lot of work. You know, I could yell at him, but I could just eat more pancakes. You know? Like, I don't see what's in it for me if I yell at him, when in reality, I could just eat pancakes and not have to yell. I'm doing alright, Keeper. I've just been eating pancakes.
I've returned. Hello, won't draw you Mpreg. Who are you drawing Mpreg?
I mean, hey, Vonnie, you don't have to. That was just offer in case you wanted more things for when you posted stuff. Oh, you don't gotta do shit.
You don't gotta do shit, Vonniers. I like calling Vanya Vonniers. Game. Okay. I'm gonna invite you to the game.
All right.
Shift tab.
Baby shark
Dar.
baby shark baby shark
Wait, how do I invite you again? How do I invite you to this game?
I don't fucking know. You're the one that does it all the time.
Oh god.
I don't know
friends.
shit.
You click the invite friends button apparently. Did you get the invite?
Oh, you know, that would make sense, honestly.
I know, right? Turtle. It's a turtle. Hello, turtle.
I didn't get the invite.
Did
Said you invited me, but there's no button to click accept. It's just not giving me an accept option.
Are you offline?
No.
Maybe I need to stop the Twitch integration first.
Is it because you have VTube Studio? Is it registering me trying to join VTube Studio and not 7 days?
Not this shit again. Okay, chat, I'm gonna vanish for a little bit.
Hey, I can join you now!
Oh my god, I hate that so much.
It's so stupid.
Because like, oh, the game that he's inviting you must be the most recently launched game. And because I launched 7 Days to Die first, you know. But how's everybody doing today? Little alien, I'm glad you got some sleep. You need to get more sleep. Let me know when you're in, and then I'll launch VTube Studio.
I'm already loading. You're good to relaunch it.
Okay. The game hates me. The game always hates me. Everyone hates me. Call me Chris the way everybody be hating me. I also found the most annoying part, which I mean, it's not annoying. I think it's weird to tip Uber drivers based on the percentage of the food cost. Because they have zero involvement in the food making process.
I'm gonna be real. I just give them $3 or like $6 if it's raining. I don't ever pay attention to the cost.
I mean, and I like tipping well. I mean, I always tip well. I drove for Uber very briefly, and like, if it was like under $6, I wouldn't really go for it. But
Spawn
like,
near friends, spawn in random location.
If I were to order $200 worth of food, or let's say $100 worth of food, they're still delivering the same place, the same effort. Nothing changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to me. Yeah, exactly. But when they're doing like a custom percentage tip, that's always what throws me off, because I'm just like, they weren't involved. It's not like a waitress who has to come back and forth and stay there the entire time. Not saying that you shouldn't tip. You should always tip, you know, because that's how they make their money. Unless we decide to make, you know, food delivery a government service. Chat, I say the government should pay for my Uber Eats. What do you think? Gar?
Yeah, sounds like a good idea for
Perfect.
me, as long as they do it for me too.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I realized my chat overlay is in the worst place possible. Chat, I'll fix it.
They don't need to see your hotbar. What do you mean?
No, but they can't see the text either. I'm dying. Did you hit, you bastard?
Huh? What? No.
I heard
what?
you hit me. I heard you hit me once and then run away.
I would never do such a thing.
Now I'm getting killed by a zombie.
Wait, was there a zombie there?
Yeah. Is the tip? Thank you. I know you all agree with me, because I'm always right. Also, chat, I'm very, 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 very tired. I stayed up a little bit too late. And instead of waking up, you know, like, right before stream, I woke up at 4. And 4:20, and 4:30, and 4:40, and 4:50, and 4:60. It was the worst. It was the absolute worst. So if I seem a bit out of it, I apologize. Blame Dar.
My bad, chat.
Dar was sexting. I don't think Dar remembers it, though. Yeah, the rumored 460M. I know, right, Echo? I made up a new time just for, convenient. By the way, I did say it out loud and immediately was like, oh. Well. Alright, Dar, I'll find us. Wait, we're not in a party, are we?
Nah.
Join me.
I said... Can I accept that again?
Oh my god. Hit tab. Click the people in the top right.
Twitch disabled. Oh, we're in a party already, I think.
Do you say Twitch is disabled?
It says Twitch disabled on your thing. I don't know why.
Does it change in a second? Is it enabled now?
The fuck was that? It was loud as hell.
That was the Twitch integration activating.
Oh, alright.
Oh, hey, we got
Shit.
boxes! Did you get boxes?
I didn't get a box.
Oh, they spawn on me because I'm hosting it. Oh, Dar Echo,
Wow, that's
right.
Fucked up.
You're fucked up. Wait a second, speak?
Hi, how are you?
That's weird. Okay, never mind, we fixed Dar. No, it's just Dar echoing. For some reason, when I turned off the YouTube, it was like, need to find a new audio source, and immediately grabs Dar. And so it just, like, forced it to double.
Morning. If you try to say it's a good morning, if you want a job from me, you'll do what you... Well, don't just stand there with your thumb.
Thank you for the
reason.
Yeah.
Yes, go do
It
the
doesn't apply to
goddamn
me. That's
job.
fucked up. I don't get no funds.
Oh, no,
Come on,
so
now.
the boxes did spawn for the second box for you. You just weren't near me. Maybe you have to activate the Twitch integration, too.
I don't wanna do that. Oh, wait, no, the regen did spawn for me.
Perfect. Game has a slight echo. Fuck you. Alright. What the fuck? Oh! Oh! I figured it out, chat. Dar, speak.
Hi, how are you?
I'm kidding. Thank you, Vanya, for telling me. Thank you for telling me, Vanya. I love you so much. I am paying you at the end of the month. Once I get my Twitch payout.
Oh! Yo, what's my guy? How you doing, buddy?
All right, so apparently what happened was the audio capture turned on that I don't know why I have. By the way, chat, if you are a new streamer, I'm eating greens like a turtle. I knew it. You're mighty cocky for somebody who's debuffable in like a minute. In a couple minutes.
No, Chad, don't debuff him. That debuffs me. That's fucked up.
I know. So what's I gonna say? I forgot now. Oh yeah, chat, if you're new to streaming, turn on... Oh, you got targeted specifically for one of these.
Oh, fuck yeah, I'm fast as fuck, boy! Wait, so they can choose? Or is
yes.
it random?
I can see in the bottom left where it pops up and it says Dar was targeted, and then I was targeted. So I think it can be done per person. Anyways, what I was gonna say is, if you are a new streamer, consider turning off the universal audio sources. For instance, like desktop audio and such. Because, oh my god, and I'm getting debuffed.
Ooh.
Did it go trippy?
It went trippy on me too, what the fuck?
Congratulations. Shit. Right, because that way you can do custom audios per scene, and so when you change scene, it would like you won't even have certain audio options there. It's a lot nicer. Mm-hmm. Okay, I gotta fix my mic. 1 second. There we go. Now, oh fuck. Now you're aimed at my mouth. Get in my mouth, chat. Come here.
Hey, yo.
And what? Hunt. Hunt what? What are we hunting? Me? Don't hunt me. Legal crime. Stop committing crimes. We're gonna live in the Home Depot.
Bro, okay, so when they target you, it also applies to me. This is bullshit. I'm saying target you, but I'm also getting it. What the fuck?
Did you get a zombie spawn on you?
Not that I see.
Oh no, I think I was just scared. There they are. How about now?
No, I haven't got shit.
Oh, yep, nope. They can spawn them just on me, apparently.
So the debuffs, if they target me, I just get them. But if they target you, we both get them. And the spawns are on you.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Oh god, I can't. Oh god. Because they slowed me, I couldn't jump. Alright. By the way, I have no weapons.
Nice, nice, nice. I just completed my first quest.
Proud of you.
Yeah, I gotta go return the stuff.
Ah, fuck.
Jay should keep spawning stuff on him. That doesn't affect me.
Oh, I am so tired. Oh. Oh god. Don't kill me.
Huh? What?
Did you get a shotgun?
No.
We did it, chat. Amazing. Ah, wakey wakey eggs
Oh, what
and
the fuck?
get blurred, motherfucker.
Man, this is bullshit. Why do I get this too? It's targeting you. This is no fair.
I'm on the edge of glory. Why is zombie on the ledge? Because zombie hate me. There are so many of them, Jesus. Chat, remind me to hang out with Daroard.
Huh?
I need to hang out with you more so that more of these zombies will spawn near you.
Yeah. I gotta. Anyways, I'm heading away. You have a good one.
Hi, Keeper. Good morning. How you doing?
Oh, it's blur as hell.
Yeah, welcome to me facing 6 zombies while blurred. Hang out with Daroard. Shut up. Shut up, Keeper. You know what I mean.
Booty. Hey, at least I get that too.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Ow. Jesus. I'm still fighting this swarm of zombies, by the way.
Oh, nice. I'm doing another quest.
Quest failed. Oh, because you're... Yeah.
Were you too far from me?
Yeah, no, it's fine. Oh, you might want to leave my party if you want to do the quest.
It says I'm still clearing the area.
Oh, okay,
It says
cool.
I'm still able to do it.
But if I grab a quest, see, I'm going to leave the party because if I grab a quest, it's going to cause you issues.
Nah, it'll be fine.
No, they don't immediately make you lose whatever quest you're on. Do they even have loot? Some of them do. Loot is random. And so far, none of these have had loot.
Bro, what the... Bro, easy mode makes this a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really.
Shit. Well, not necessarily easy mode, just not hardcore mode.
Yeah.
You see these fuckers taking so many hits to actually die.
Do you know what's funny? We don't even play on the hardest difficulty when I normally do it.
That's fucked up.
Why can't I hit the zombie? There it is. Okay. Okay, I probably level up soon, right? Chat, I've gained so little experience. Chat, I've gained so little experience. What the fuck? What the fuck? What was the point of all of that? I finally succeeded. I'm alive, chat. I know. It's amazing, isn't it? Isn't it amazing how amazing this is? Anyways, let's do all the questies we gotta do. You love third wheeling? My goons were too weak.
Man, I'm infected. This is bullshit.
Dar over there, going through normal shit, struggling. Me over here, killed an army. Chat, I am so tired. I am so tired. I am sorry, my energy's gonna be so low today. I'm just gonna drink a bunch of caffeine, chat. I will drink caffeine until I vomit. We got this.
I took random drugs I found. It did not help.
What? Did you just hope it would?
Oh, that was the plan.
It's like, you know, I don't know what this thing does, but I'm gonna take it. It's fine. What's up, Vanya? Jump, hell yeah! Did you get jump?
Oh. Yeah, for some reason, anytime they target you, we both get it.
Nice.
But if they target me, only I get it, apparently. Which is fucking funny.
It might be because we're in a party, I think.
But then why would it work if they only target me and you don't get it?
Well, fuck, I don't know. Fight me. You're gonna make me a flat white? Please, little alien, I would love that. Do you want to be my, like, in-home barista? I'll just lock you underneath my sink and you can make me coffee all day.
Man, me and HP are not doing too hot right now.
What do you got against Harry Potter?
A lot.
That's fair. Oh, if you find me, I can give you honey so you can cure your disease.
How much does honey cure?
5.
Okay, I'm still in the safe spawn right now.
Hmm.
Oh, hey, I finished my quest.
Crimson flag? What do you mean a crimson flag? Me keeping somebody underneath my thing is not crimson at all. Okay, I'm leaving the party, but we are allies, so that I can take my quest.
Wow, you hear that, Chad? Gina doesn't want to be in a party with me.
Fuck you.
New Gene hated me, chat.
Fine, I won't lock you underneath my sink. Does the basement work better? Chat, I'm tired. Everything I say is said with an asterisk around it, so you can't judge me for what I say. The asterisk is Gene sleepy, Gene big eeps, and that clears me of all responsibility for anything I say. Okay, chat. Any claims of violence or kidnapping are done with the asterisk of he's just tired. It's okay. He's just a little guy. You know.
More random drugs. Do I take it?
Little alien, that's a lot of work. I'm not sure if I'm willing to do that. Hey, mystery supplies, mystery supplies, mystery supplies. Hey, supplies. Did you have a crate spawn on you?
No.
Bullshit. I got one.
I don't get mystery
So there wasn't
supplies.
2 crates. Jitoshi marks are not dog in pants. They are dog paw and 4-leaf clover. Thank you. That's a good point. Okay, little alien, we'll come up with a compromise. We'll come up with a compromise. Am I stuck in this hole? No, I got out. We're good.
Yeah, I double checked all around. I ain't getting no crate. This is bullshit.
Oh,
Alright,
because
I'm killing Gene next time I see him.
we're not in a party. Oh, I have to be in a party with Dar? God damn it.
Wow, Gene doesn't want me to get anything. I see how it is, Gene.
All right, I'm in a party with Dar. Accept my party invite.
How'd I do that again?
Tab. Click on the friend thing.
Party.
Yeah.
Right.
You're about to go to a party. Hey. High five. Enjoy your party.
Wait. I just realized something. Can I?
What? What'd you realize?
One sec.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Are you turning in my quest?
I'm totally innocent right now. I don't.
Oh, I need to put on clothes.
Anyways.
What'd you do?
Nothing.
What'd you? I have no clue what you did. You're just like, I'm innocent. I'm like, yeah, it sure seems that way.
Yeah, I'm innocent. I didn't do nothing. Man, it's good to be full health. I love it here.
Did you kill yourself?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, you would. In game and
You ain't wrong.
people put the Oshi marks of their Oshis in the Twitter bio. What do I put? Dog in pants. You know what, chat? I will change my Oshi marks to dog in pants if we can hit like 2,000 followers by the end of next month. Or we'll do some like stupid like a 500 subs thing. Okay? We can hit 500 subs or we can hit 2,000 followers by the end of next month. I will make that my new Oshi marks. You have my name typed out? Why do you have my name typed out? I have Oshi marks. Die. Ugh.
Also, do you really want to know what I did?
What?
I realized I have your stream open. I can redeem stuff.
You bastard.
I gave myself a regen. I'm like, wait a second, I can just heal this way.
No, Vaughn, why would you take? You don't have to take my name down. I'm just saying, like, I have Oshi marks. If you want to put my Oshi marks in your bio, you can just use my Oshi marks. You don't need to do anything special. Oh, you bastards! My leg is broken.
Yeah,
You
you summon zombies
fixed
on him.
my leg. What? Oh my god, you're the world's greatest.
What happened?
Ocean fixed my leg. It was broken. Oh my god, they are summoning
God,
on me.
they did! Oh my
Yeah.
god, they summoned a lot of shit on me!
Yep.
Get him, chat! Get him!
And by the way, it's doubled now because you're in my party.
Get him, chat!
I'm so glad he fixed my leg so I can at least handle this shit now. Oh god, okay.
I just see the chat active spawn normal on you.
Yeah. Oh, hey, loot, finally! I'm currently fighting 5 zombies. There was like 8. Jesus.
This brings me amusement.
God damn it!
Alright, now here's the question. If I do this, well, is it gonna fuck you over?
What are you doing?
Oh, I just activated my quest. It doesn't look like it did.
Wait.
Oh, fucking bird!
Okay. Okay. There we go. I have yet to make it into this building, by the way. Keeper, you bastard! How dare you?
That one's mean. Anyways, you guys should spawn more zombies on him.
I think there is no more that they can summon yet. Okay. Welcome back, Killian. How you doing? And hey, Magnus, how you doing, sweetie? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that regen be pretty nice.
Oh, I got 2 bags of loot from that. Oh, people can now spawn crawlers. It is kind of cool that it unlocks more things as time progresses.
Really?
Yeah. Chat,
Oh, that's neat. I like that.
I might very well do a, like, all-day stream thing where I try to do a, like, survive endlessly. And, like, if I die once, we delete the world. Because I think it'd be really fun to have you guys, like, scale shit up, and so I have to actually try hard and to do things. Right? I want you to say my name. What do you mean I don't want you to say my name in public? Vanya, you say such crazy shit. Gene doesn't want me to say his name in public anymore. Like, oh, there's the loot bag. Gene is such a hater. I am not a hater. I'm a lover. Hey, Chubb. How you doing, Chubb? Good morning, good morning, good morning. And Magnus, I think I already said good morning to you. I might be wrong, though. Yay.
I seem to have found myself in a predicament.
Your pretty dick meant. Sorry, I don't know what I just said.
Luckily, I have a gun.
Me when gun?
Gun go burr. Oh, I fell.
You're not homeless, Vanya. You're allowed back in my walls. You're finally getting off work. Oh, I'm glad you're getting off work.
You told me you filled the walls with concrete, though, so they couldn't.
That takes a lot of effort. That was a lie.
I don't know.
I filled it with inedible insulation. Which is different than normal insulation, which is also inedible.
Yo, I upgraded my shotgun. Let's go.
Yo, free regen shit.
My tracking is borked. Oh god! Right, because I had to turn off. Did you all just only now realize my tracking is borked? Give me a second. Oh, because my phone isn't connected to power. Shit. Okay. Fuck. Shit. Oh, you can eat meats, baby! Gene's staring in the void. I do that sometimes.
I mean, listen, if you got like BRB to fix it real quick, I Twitch. They chat wouldn't summon zombies.
They would.
AFK.
They would.
Nah, you would be safe. I trust you. Right, chat? They would be safe.
Okay, here's my idea. I have an idea, chat, and this is my pursuit of safety here. I'm building a bunch of spike traps while I adjust things. It's totally not away from the game right now. What are you talking about?
Chat, spawn zombies on him quick. Get him, chat. Get him.
Okay. We're back, Chad. Gene sounds like a fruit. What the fuck did... What? What?
You know, that's actually pretty fair. I agree.
That's such an insane thing to say. That just Gene sounds like a fruit when he's at a distance. What does that mean? Thank you for the jumps. I love the jumps. Woo!
Oh yeah, I'm fast. I'm gonna get back to the shop quick. Let's go.
I can't get up there. That's so fucking. Gene sounds like a fruit when he talks from the distance. It's nothing is different. Okay. There is so much more food. Pineapple, banana, 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 pineapple, banana. Why? Why, chat? Why? Why would you do this to me?
Chat, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh my God, Keeper. Pineapple, banana, 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 pineapple, banana.
Yes, Keeper. Yes, Keeper.
Pineapple, banana, 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 pineapple, pineapple. Damn it, I fucked up. Who give up? Dorian, because he's stinky. Who's stinky? Oh, you're calling me stinky. Oh, hold me now. I'm 6 feet from the end, and I'm thinking.
So how them quests going?
I have not done any quests. What do you mean?
I thought you were trying to do one. That's why you're moving from the party.
Oh, I've completed the thing, and I have the motherfucker. I opened the door, and they all spawned because I was in a safe spot. I'm gonna make it out of here safe. Yay! Nope.
Oh my God! You're out here.
Jesus. Tomato, potato, tomato, potato, tomato, potato, 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 tomato, 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 potato. Send me into the void. Refused. Oh shit, chat. My food is almost here.
Oh no!
All right. I have an idea. I'm getting wrecked tonight. R.I.P. that. How the fuck did this one get up here?
Wait, I just realized I can do it funny. It's Wabbit season, chat. And by Wabbit, I mean dog.
Okay. I think that should keep me alive for now. Motherfucker!
There.
All right, chat. Well, I'm gonna have to run, and hopefully I'll come back.
Hey, quick question. How much does it take to break a
little
building
puppy?
block?
I'm such a cute little puppy. There you go. All right, I'll be right back, chat. Wait.
Now, here's the funny thing, chat, is I'm right by him, and I got a rifle.
Target has been spotted, chat. There's currently about 4 zombies crawling up the water behind him. Oh, actually, he might get fucked by the zombies. I ain't gotta do shit. I'm currently watching 2 crawlers crawl up to him right now. One's about to touch his butt. And a moment now, they're right up on him. Oh, it looks like they found him. Oh, they're getting him right now. Oh, he's back.
Oh fuck. Okay. Okay. Okay.
All right, Chad. I just need a simple yes or no.
Yes or no for what?
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, I sprinted. I had to go all the way down the stairs to get my
All right,
food.
Gene, they told me yes.
I will kill you. You have a shotgun. I know you do. I will kill you.
Oh, that's gonna make this harder. That's just mean shit.
You cheating motherfucker. I spent so much fucking time putting effort into surviving.
Keeper told me yes.
Keeper, fuck you, Keeper. You're on my shit list, Keeper.
By the way, I didn't only have a shotgun, I have a hunting rifle too. So I was just like, I can keep my distance. Target has been declared, chat.
How dare you? You're covering the Twitch integration options. Oh no, you'll never know what you can integrate. That's crazy. Good luck figuring it out.
Anyways, how's your food?
Fuck, I can't eat it right now. To get my shit. I do love you, Keeper, but still, how dare you? Yes, friendly fire is still funny though, so that's why I have to leave it on. What's 500 PP? I don't fucking know.
Wait, 500 PP, huh?
Hey, boxes! Yay! Dar gets no boxes. Fuck you, Dar.
I'm coming back to my rifle. It's hunting season. Take away my box.
No box for you.
Last time out loud.
I wish I had a gun.
I can smell the dog.
Woof woof. Bow wow. Taking drugs. Penis points. It's actually pimp points. Not even a joke. Alright, chat. We have pancakes. We have omelet. We have delicious, delicious food. Did they give me syrup this time or did they forget?
Oh, look at you.
They did not give me syrup this time. Luckily, I have syrup from last time.
I'm pretty sure it's because the integration's on cooldown. They have cooldowns and stuff.
Oh. You get PP points by
Yeah, it's on a 3-minute cooldown.
It's also there's a thing on there. In the redeems is a thing. That gets you PP points.
So, Gene.
Yes, Star.
I heard there was a box spawn.
Nope.
Someone didn't let me have my box.
Meow. Meow. You want real penis points?
Oh,
Don't you dare take my shit.
I would never take anything of yours. Anyways, I'm taking your shotgun ammo. You can have the rest.
Fine. Mwah.
Alright, that was a fair deal. I'm happy now. You got my box. I got shotgun bullets. I'm happy.
I can't believe you got hurt.
I need to get a new spear. Yeah,
Oh.
you actually fucking hurt me. That was rude.
Yeah. Where you at? I can make a level 2 spear.
I'm coming back.
I just need to get supplies first. One sec.
I ain't dropped supplies. What you
I need wood and stone.
Hey, let me tell you, I got wood for days.
I know you got some wood.
Oh no, look how I just dropped.
Amazing. Here's your wood. Spear. I don't know where the rock went. The rock's gone.
Alright, you can keep it.
Don't worry about me touching Dar's wood. It's fine. Dar gave me his wood and I gave it back. You gotta admit though, chat, it was pretty impressive I survived that long. I love Yowie. Wait, did they not give me silverware either? Bastards! Chat, don't summon anything on me. I gotta go get a fork.
Chat. Yeah, I know. There's a cooldown right now. So rude. Oh, is it? Oh, so I shouldn't kill Gene again while they're AFK. Fine.
I'm gonna be such an asshole today.
Fine. I'll behave.
Hold me now.
Yeah, so there's a thing we didn't know. Anytime we kill each other or die, it puts integrations on cooldown. That's why it's on cooldown right now, because I killed you.
Wow. I needed a fork. Fork you. Dar hates you. Yeah, Dar hates you guys. Chat, curse him.
Actually,
Curse him with a small
was
pee-pee.
applying to what chat told me to do. Chat
Did
said
you know
yes,
that? Did
so
you
I
know every time you
shot.
kill me, your penis loses a half a centimeter?
Only half a centimeter? Shit, I'm gonna kill you a few more times. Honestly.
I've got inches to lose. Man, I got inches. Dar, how big your pee-pee?
Oh, fucking balls.
You can tell it big when he's just like, I don't care, I haven't measured.
I'm hungry.
Gene check how big his pee-pee is. Come here. Ah, fuck!
You guys ever just sit in a field and eat corn?
Well, fuck. Fuck.
Did you spill your food?
No.
Oh,
Worse.
that's good. What'd you do? Oh no, worse. What happened?
I got lucky it didn't get on my keyboard.
Did you spill your drink or some shit?
Yep.
No.
Oh well.
At least, like you said, it didn't get on your keyboard. Look at the bright side.
Yeah. Well, that was a waste of money, but yeah, it is what it is.
Oh, it was the fucking one you. Oh.
Oh well, I have water.
Alright. 3 skulls means it's easy to clear, right?
Yeah, you should do 5. Look for 5.
Alright, well, right now I'm on a 3-er. I don't know.
I
where
got
5-er is.
bitches all on my dick. I got excited about the PP. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I got too excited. You guys ever sit in a field and measure your PP performance points? You know? No, they're pimp points. You get it right. I'm gonna be such an asshole today, though. I am sorry in advance. I am so tired, and I can feel it. I can feel the need to be mean, and I'm just like, it's not. You can't be mean. Be a good boy.
I'm gonna be a good yo puppy.
Fuck, I forgot I was trying to make this into our house, but you kept killing me there.
Oh, my bad. I'm at a barn right now. I kind of like the barn. I'm in the farm life.
No, I'm not normally mean. Performance points is what you get in rhythm games. That's... I didn't know sex was a... Hey, box!
Man, must be nice getting boxes.
I know, right? Yeah, no. I'm normally nice, chat. You don't believe me.
Sir, can you get down from the ceiling?
No.
Well, they're down now.
1, 2. Yay.
Did you 3 shots to kill a zombie?
I know, I killed 2 zombies with 1 shot each.
Oh, okay, okay.
Osu sexual. Instead of dating, I have sex. I play. Instead of dating or having sex, I play Osu. I need wood. Chat, do you want to give me wood? Raccoon, stop dying. Wait, why is Vanya? Where's Vanya going? Vanya, come back!
Wait, what's this? I'm very curious what this is.
Oh, sorry, Killian. Bad dog Gene. Fuck you. The fuck was that? Oh, you activated scare. Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the bits. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I love you, Keeper. You're the best. Chat, you hear that? Keeper's the best. Oh, he's shooting people. Hi, Chisei. Hi, Chisel. Hey, chat, everybody say hi to Chisel. Mm-hmm. I'm kidding, Chisel. Chisel, stay. I mean, Chisei. No, Chisei, stay. He plays favoritism. Yes, I can be bribed very easily. I'm very cheap. Chisei. I have a question, Chisei. What games do you like? Me and Chisei may end up doing a collab at some point, chat. But I actually don't know what games they like, so we might just be incompatible. They might only like hardcore FPS games. They might be like, "Oh my God, Gene, your score is so low in this game. You're fucking bronze. How dare you? I hate you." And then they'll murder me.
That sounds like something I would do.
They will like actively kill me. They'll hunt me down. They have IP trackers on me currently, and they'll send their 4,000 followers after me. Because everybody knows, as a VTuber, once you get followers, it does co-sign you over part of your soul to their command, and you can be commanded in blood feuds.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true. It's true. Stop. Okay, I'll stop. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll behave myself. Yes, Cheesy, list your games. What games do you like? Right now. Come on. Spill it out. Name some games. Name some games. You name games. You're the one who was questioned. No, you! I'm sorry, Vanya. I'll be good. I promise.
Oh, that hurt. Oh.
Poor
I'm not
Vienners.
doing good.
Okay, fine. I have yet to play Peak. I do want to try Peak with some people. I am going to be doing a small little Peak collab with Keeper and the lovely, lovely, lovely Nova. Chisei's about to shake the dog. Don't shake me! Vanyers, yeah.
Oh, that regen took care of my deep laceration. That's sick.
I guess I do like Repo. Repo's pretty fun. Do I admit I'm a dog? I'm not a dog, no.
Wait, what'd you say?
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Huh?
Fuck you.
Huh?
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Sorry, what did
Fuck
you
you.
say?
Fuck you. Arf, arf, I'm such a cute little puppy. Hate you. Not a dog. Not a dog. God, what is it? What other games? Rainbow Six Siege. Fuck it. That is my go-to game that I don't play on stream. What other games can you play with people? Monster Hunter was fun. I did that for a while. I don't know if it would stream well though. 7 Days to Die. Hey, I like 7 Days to Die. Do you like 7 Days to Die? Oh, do you like 7 Days?
7 Days to Die? Really?
I'm bad at a fucking... No. 1 second, chat.
Oh shit, why are you so fast, dude? God damn.
Why are you summoning snakes on me? Bro, I'm trying to survive here.
Chad, I'm proud of you guys.
I don't even know if these were summoned. There's no names above them. They might have just spawned. All right, there we go. Chase saying GG.
Oh, fuck.
Lethal puppy. You might need to do a refresh. Thank the fucking gods. There you go. All right.
Might die.
7 days to die. Monster Hunter. Don't die. Don't die. Get out of there. Why are you hunting at night?
Oh, why not?
Because they're all harder.
Yeah, so?
Oh my god, chat.
Think I'm scared?
Okay, anyways, hey look, it's Keeper. No, Keeper just ran off the map. 7 days to die, yes. Rainbow Six Siege. Monster Hunter, though I'm not big on Monster Hunter, I don't know if it's stream well. Repo, looks like it's fun. I haven't played much of it, but it looks like it's fun. Peak, and... Oh, Gmod! I want to do a Gmod thing. I want to get a Gmod server and get a bunch of people on it. After years of having these stupid maps, where like you had to have CS:GO and you had to have not CS:GO, you had to have Counter-Strike Source and you had to have a few other Source things. Valve finally let people just make maps and gave them the games for free, basically attached to Gmod. So now I don't have to do the crazy shit. So yes, chat, if you, I might make a Gmod server.
Here, Gene, I got a present for you.
Why are you doing this to me, Dar? Why are you like this? You've never played Gary's Mod? I would not suggest playing Rainbow Six Siege. I would not suggest playing Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh, fuck, I'm slowed. I didn't realize I was slowed still.
God damn it, Keeper. How could this happen to me? Oh god, Keeper, get off my ledge! Fuck. Well then, chat, we're gonna do a Gmod. I'm gonna start a Gmod server.
That's hard.
You never heard of Gmod? Gary's Mod? Wow, y'all are a bunch of... That's golden YouTube days. I don't know what y'all mean. You get all the cool YouTubers who would play Gary's Mod together. They play like Prop Hunt and shit, and Trouble in Terrorist Town, and which is a wild name for a game, by the way. Murder.
Oh, man.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
What did that do to you?
It pulled me. It moved me.
I was curious what that would do. I saw that, but it's like, that costs bits. So I was like, I can't do that on test. I ain't got bits on me.
It's insane. Uber Haxor Nova? What the hell is that? Interesting. I think it pulled me out so that like I wasn't hidden anymore.
All that regen. Thank you.
There you go. Murdering Keeper.
Now, if only I had a way to deal with this infection.
No, Keeper, you're still down there trying to open the wall. I'm just gonna leave you there. He hasn't killed you yet? You haven't summoned yourself yet. Keeper just lives down there now. Chat, I have an idea. Chat. I'm gonna make a cage for Keeper.
Here's what this is like, so I want to see them. Sorry. There's a lot of cool shit. I want to see what they look like.
You can summon Raccoon? I wish. It'd be so cool. I've got creepers are on my... Alright, it's time to try the omelet, chat. How do you think the omelet's gonna be? Among Us, Outlast Trials. Oh, we should do Outlast Trials! I'm also bad at it.
Oh, I might be dead.
You're fine.
That's a glowy eye motherfucker trying to touch my bum.
You're dead.
Alright, they're dead, chat. We're good.
I don't... fucking good. I'm keeping the fate. That is true, it's true. Alright. Cheesy, we're gonna hang out. Hit me up on the Discord if you would like to add me. I'm LuckyJene on Discord. If you don't want to add me and you want to block me instead, ease up.
How do you block someone? I could test that real quick on
Why?
some weird.
What up? Huh? Ease up? What? What do you mean ease up? Who's easing up? Who's easing up? I'm so confused. Hi, Mr. Man on screen. Hello, how are you doing? Arulaween. There was a message from Streamlabs that said ease up.
Huh?
Oh my god. Oh. Hi, Cheese. Yes. So I used to be more of an aggressive flirt on stream. And so in a consideration for people's, well-being, I gave them a safe word that they could redeem. So that if they want me to ease up off of them, flirt less, they can redeem that. And that way I'll just, back off of them and it's chill. I'm not as much of a flirt anymore, but when I was, it was very, very more lewd. Different kind of content, different kind of day. Mm-hmm. But still, the safe word banana, you can use at any point in time if you feel like I'm either bullying you too aggressively and you feel uncomfortable, or if I'm flirting too heavily and you feel uncomfortable. You wanted to roast my ass? I mean, you can roast my ass all you want. Do whatever the fuck you want. Go for it. I believe in you. You got this. Fight me, motherfucker. Let's go.
Back off the hating.
Vanya, I'm sorry. No. That's not an option here. We need a different safe word for that, and not happening. Yeah, they bully the shit out of me. They hate me. Chat hates me so much. You know what? Violet Apple. Violet Apple. that's the hating one. No, Vanya, stay. I'll be nice to you. I promise. I promise, Vanya. No, Vanya, stay. I'll miss you. You're my only mod in chat right now.
Wow, I'm no one to him, chat.
You're in stream. You don't count.
Yeah, I'm in the stream. I'm in stream also.
No, but you're physically no. Fuck off. You know what I mean. Just waiting for the night to end.
Imagine waiting for the night and just not hunting at night.
Yeah, because people keep summoning shit on me. I'm not going out there when 13 things can spawn on me. Yeah.
That sounds like a you problem.
Vanya, I fucking flattered you so much yesterday. I talked about how important you were to me. Don't you be giving me none of that.
Yo, that regen coming in clutch.
Mm-hmm. I told you how much you mattered. You. Some snakes on his ass. Don't summon snakes on my ass. Don't summon snakes on my ass. Why would you do that? Why would you even want snakes on my ass? Actually, I'm just gonna sell all this stuff.
Oh yeah, so there's one small, mild problem that we might have to deal with.
Yeah, what's that?
I'm sitting at like 15% infected.
That's fine. Summon fat ass raccoon. Just imagine. It just comes out like really angry and bites your ankles.
Oh, look at you.
All right. 1 minute, chat. 1 minute, you can start messing with me again. Summon the end of the world. Game just crashes. You could try it without the question mark, Chisel. Sorry, Cheese.
If I break this reinforced chest that has 5,000 health, can I loot it?
Yes. I believe in you. You got this.
Alright, I know what I'm doing.
Good night, little alien. Sleep well. Summon Metal Gear. The weapon to end all weapons, the Metal Gear. I'm so tired, chat. I might go to sleep immediately after this. Chat, I'm gonna go to sleep now, actually. Don't summon anything to kill me, okay? Night-night. Summon Solid Snake. It's a website that doesn't have any connection with us. It is done just through that image. But you can just add me directly, LuckyJene.
Yeah, you know, fuck this. I ain't actually sitting here this long. This is taking too long. Oh.
Here, I got this. 1 second. Give me a second. Da-da-da-da-da. There's Cheese. Alright, we're gonna see if this works. Stop watching advertisements.
Oh, I gotta reload.
That's fair. I totally get that.
Well, found a way to deal with my 20% infected.
I got you. How'd you deal with your 20% infected? What'd you do?
Oh, I died.
Oh my god. Come on, Dar.
Hey, I didn't do it on purpose. I got like 10 zombies on my ass. It was too much to handle, apparently.
Let me in. Let me in. But Cheese, that's very smart. I can appreciate it. You got them big brains. You're safe. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Help! Help!
Yeah, you admit you're a dog.
Fuck. Fuck. Why can't I run faster than you? Oh my god, I'm getting thrown in the air. Yay! We made it! Thank you! No! Bro, why are you so fast? Oh yeah, no, I do understand that, Cheese. That website is completely separate from me. I would never want to see anybody's face anyways. But I do understand the one for safety! Fuck. I'm fucked. Chat, we're dead.
Oh, hey, he's a dog, Chad. He admitted it.
Of course, of course. Well, what'd I get? Hey, look, boxes! Oh, if only Dar was here with me.
I'm killing you again. Where are you at?
No, don't kill me because it's gonna fuck up the cooldown.
That's true. I can only kill you if Chad gives me permission.
Dying is not ideal. For more tips, true facts, true facts. I hate how long this last minute has been. You he dodged, chat, he dodged.
Oh my god, I just look over to see
He dodged.
I got one person telling me to kill you, one person not. It's currently tied.
I have a gun too now.
Ooh. So it'll be a challenge this time.
There we go. You cleaned your entire house? Cheesy, that's actually really impressive. I'm proud of you.
You know the drill?
Y'all want to summon zombies on me, don't you?
Now open. We got
Y'all won't be able to summon zombies on me.
if you got the money.
You clean your house every day.
Listen, Chad, I can do it. It'll just put us on cooldown.
Cheesy, do you want to move in and clean my house instead?
If you think you're pretty smart now, don't you? Here's your pay, Einstein.
I mean... If you wish, please, 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 clean my house for me.
Like a goddamn idiot.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, see, now Vanya's even telling me to kill you. I'm being told by a lot of chat members.
How much, oh wait, you're not infected at all right now, are you?
Nope.
I was gonna give you stuff to cure yourself, but nope. Get yelled at, I mean, you know, I'll take it. I've never been yelled at in Korean before, I might like it. Sorry, sorry.
Don't let the door hit you on your way out.
I'm sorry, I'm kidding, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Cheesy, you're not allowed to leave. You have been locked in the basement with everybody else. Not allowed, sorry, no. I know, it's surprising I'm allowed to do that, but I am. I signed a contract with Twitch. I think Vanya already left. You're stuck here. Does that mean chat is undefended from the raids and hatred of the wide internet because we have no mod currently?
No one chat.
No. Vanya's. Oh, welcome back. This omelet is awful, by the way.
I'm back. I don't trust Gene, actually. It's crazy.
Thank you for the lurk, Evil Diva. This omelet is awful. It has uncooked, or really poorly cooked hash browns in it.
Aww.
It's so lazy. It's like they just took the normal stuff that they put in like a their breakfast plate and just put it in an omelet instead.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah. No. Vanya, stop trying to let people out of my basement.
Take a look at the shit I got.
I'm relocking
Don't
it.
expect me to cook it for you.
The miner outfit. I've never lied once in my life, except those times that I did lie. But I'd like to see you prove it. It's not on the second floor, Keeper. You can't you can't change the location of my rooms. You can't change the location of my fictional rooms.
Oh, you want a guarantee, huh? Well, maybe you should try Shamway.
Oh, Chad, I'm so tired. I am sorry, I'm so tired. Well, enjoy your Apex, Cheesy.
Yeah, you good.
No. Followers don't matter, chat. Kidnappings forever. Gene lives in a mansion. Gene lives in the cloud power creep. No. Yedar? Hey, Dar.
Uh-huh. Hey, you gotta hit me with that for that to actually work. I forgot how hard this is to reload.
You bastard!
Alright, there you go, chat. I did what you wanted. Sorry, I got told by too many people.
Oh,
in chat
I think that
to
might
do
have
it.
ended the vote event.
Oh, there was a vote event?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even realize there was a vote event.
Let's see if it keeps going. Yep, the vote event's gone. Blame Dar, chat.
I was told by like 4 people to kill you. I'm sorry.
Chat, if you quit telling him to kill me, we could have cool things in this game.
Also, just so you know, you put me at 5 HP.
Yeah, deserved. He hates us. I don't hate you. What do you mean? Why would I ever hate you, chat?
Killed you again, Dark. Yeah, bruh.
How dare you?
Everyone wants me to hunt you.
Mm-hmm,
Kind of fucked up, honestly.
I'm gonna turn it off next time. I'm just like... I think it's funny when we're trying to hunt zombies and accidentally kill each other, but just hunting each other.
Hey, listen. It was just that one last time. I already left.
Uh-huh.
I went to a new area to farm, and I don't want to remove the cooldown. I just had to do it one more time for good luck,
Here we go. I don't hate anybody, chat. Why would I ever hate anybody? Give me one good reason to hate people.
Honestly, I can think of a lot of reasons.
No reasons. I want a second monitor. Hey, thank you, Cheese. That's respect right there. I also can't spell. You're not allowed to spell as a VTuber. Okay, chat. I don't know any dictators personally. I hate their actions, sure. I don't know them. You're actually dyslexic? That's crazy, Cheese. You're born to be a VTuber.
Alright, so I got a question for you, Gene. Why is it I look around and it looks like you coming right towards me?
Who would ever do that? Crazy. Oh, look, a zombie.
What you trying to do, Genie boy?
Nothing. Chat, I am sorry if I'm mean today. Or if I'm rude. I am just very, very tired.
I see you.
Well, kind of like having to hate somebody, you kind of actually have to know them. I see you too.
What you doing down there, huh?
Nothing.
What's our little doggy doing?
Mm-hmm.
I heard that gunshot.
No, you didn't.
You out down there?
No, I'm fighting a zombie.
Right. Just right towards me. Oh shit!
Uh-huh. Oh, god damn it. I hate this mouth. It's so sensitive. You also hate her today? Oh, I'm sorry. Don't hate me. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
I just think of the integration, man. They only got a minute left.
I know, right? That's crazy. Yeah, this Corsair mouse, if I like slam it down too hard, it will fire. It hits the button. But it's also the only mouse brand that has the size I like, so you deal with the other negative things. Mm-hmm.
This has just become a hunting.
I have too much shit on my desk. I never said any of that, Vanya. I would never say anything like that about you. Why'd I ever say that? How you doing?
Oh, you know. Oh, I hit the tree! That's bullshit!
What's your health at?
31?
Damn it.
Oh shit, zombie!
I hope it kills you.
Sir, calm down.
I hope it kills you.
Alright. Are we good now?
Never. I haven't killed you yet. My hatred is everlasting.
I haven't got to kill you yet. It ain't over.
My hatred is everlasting now. it will never stop. Where the fuck is my backpack? I'm going to the wrong backpack.
Good luck getting your weapons.
I'm going. Don't you take my weapons?
No, that would be way too mean. I wouldn't do that.
I also ran in the wrong direction for a long time, so you could probably just leave, and it wouldn't matter.
Oh, I already started leaving, so it's gonna take you a second.
Mm-hmm. Don't steal my stuff.
Nah, listen. Mess around killing each other, I don't mind, but stealing stuff, that's too far. That's no fun.
Oh, Becker
You
was
gotta be able
banana
to
earlier.
get your loot back.
Okay, now where are you? I have ideas. I'm gonna take drugs. Oh, I forgot I had this. Why didn't I use this? Damn it! I would have won that!
Are you gonna make me pop my steroids?
No. All it's gonna do is make you faster.
I know, which means I can run away quicker.
Alright, chat. I'm getting ready to kill Dar. We got this. Alright. Must drop 3 more things. 1, 2, 3. Yes!
Yeah, but see, now this one's not fair. We're both not full health.
Ah, no, that's crazy. Fairness.
What could I do?
I wish I had a scope.
I have an idea.
Yeah? What's your idea, Dar?
Many things.
Drugs. Drugs. Alright, where is he? You're on the edge.
First, we take the steroids.
Are you hiding in the house? Are you behind the house?
You get away from my house.
Yeah. I got this, chat. We got this. You're fading. Don't fade. Don't fade, Vanya. Don't fade.
Oh, fucking
Taking all your shotgun shots.
Hey, I left your loot alone.
No, you took. Remember when you killed me and took my shotgun shells?
That is tried to take 14 shells from you, actually.
14? You know what? Fuck it. I'm taking 14 back. Taking exactly 14 back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then I'm giving them back to you because fuck you. I'm just gonna separate into separate stacks. Alright, chat. We're even. I know you've killed me significantly more times, but we're even. Good morning, Em. How you doing? Oh, you motherfucker. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. I heard the way you said, I hear it right now. I hear it in your voice. Vanya, you were meant for this world. I hope you know that. You are meant for this world.
How you doing?
Oh, chat, by the way. Part of my demo reel is finished.
Alright, I'll be satisfied, but you need to go back to where you're at and run around. I'll take one shot. If it hits you, it hits you far away. And then I'm satisfied.
What kind of... Okay, go.
Look how far I'm up on the mountain. That's why I was like, listen, this, I'd say this is decently fair, Yeah, just strafe around a bit.
Keeper, I will not forget. I do remember. We talked about it this morning.
I'm good now.
What kind of kindergarten like retaliation thing is this? Which is like
I'm happy now.
I'm just gonna swing my arms. If you get in range of my arms, that's your fault, not mine.
Not mine.
Not you, Vanya. I talked to Keeper about it. Give me a second. Here. One sec. Okay. Hmm. Wait a second. This is a gift. There's one. And you motherfuckers, I'm trying to give games away. Chat hates me. Chat hates to see me succeed.
I'm just out here buying shit.
There we go. There's another one.
Ooh, free XP.
Don't blame you. It's a vote. Thank you, Keeper. I missed. Never mind. I deserve to die. Thank you, Ocean. What the fuck hit me? Ah! My legs!
You know how fun it is to hear you scream and be able to look right over to my right and see what happened?
You get the delay. Okay. Add to cart. View my cart. As a gift. Complete. Go to gifting options. Select your recipient. Vaughn, yours. Continue payment. Continue. PayPal. Damn it.
Everything all right out there?
Nope. All right, there we go. And purchase. Nothing, Aura. All right, Vanya, you should have gotten a ping. Oh. Are you on? Thank you for the follow, Bunny Bounce. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you doing? Welcome, 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 welcome. Oh, we eepy. Dar, how you doing over there? Dar?
How are ya?
How you doing? You want to do something stupid?
Alright, what are we doing?
Alright, we're gonna try to find the hardest fucking place that we can go into. And we're gonna see if we can make it through.
I'm so fucking down. Let's do this.
Alright,
Hey, Chef, you can do buffs. Can you give us speed so we can go run faster?
I think right now the highest place we can go is the town. If we could get a smoothie, so if we get gifted like a medicine thing, we could potentially get a smoothie.
Fuck yeah, let's go down.
Okay, let's see. Give me a second. Where's the town? I think the town is this way. Alright. I know where we can go!
Actually, I should make another spear before we do this. My spear's about to break.
You probably should. Where is the town?
I'm missing rocks. Shit. Let me go. Next time I see a rock pile, I'm gonna hit it a little bit.
You need rocks?
I need some rocks. You got
Hi,
rocks?
Bounty. Let me scrap these rocks real quick, and then you can have these rocks. Here you go. 15. 89. Sorry, I found your rocks.
You left way too many rocks. I didn't need that many.
Hey, look, a box. No smoothie. And this box has shotgun shells. Do you want ammo? How are you on shotgun, by the way? Thank you for the follow. SNDC sub 66.
My shotgun's still half durability and got 41 shots.
You have 41 shots? Perfect. Okay. Oh, thank you for the check. Hi. Hello, hello, hello. Lemon Steamworks. How you doing? And hello, survivalist. How are you all doing? Damn it, I gotta find the town because in the town is a which way is the fucking town in? I think it's this way. There is a boar place. Oh god damn it. Yeah. Happy.
Did you do the hand movement?
I did.
Good.
Giant boulder. It's here somewhere. You will know it when you see it because it'll have stuff to do with boars.
This is the farm I cleared out earlier.
Oh, fucking snakes! Snakes! Oh yeah, Dar gets to deal with snakes with me now.
You know, I don't know if I want to do this.
No, come on, Dar, we gotta do it. We gotta do it. Come on.
Changing my mind.
It's fun. What if I spawn a giant boulder? We should. Spawn a giant boulder and kill me right now, chat. Murder me. End my life. Okay, this isn't the town, but there's still some fun stuff over here. Your team is doo-doo.
Oh, this is what I cleared out.
Oh, god damn it.
When it was nighttime, this is the area I was clearing out.
Yeah. There you go. Fight me, motherfucker. No, did you kill the UFO museum?
No, I didn't go there.
We're doing the UFO museum.
I did not know there was a fucking UFO museum.
Chat, can you give me jump? She was spreading my... I love the horses. I love the horse girls. Yes, okay, come with me. We're gonna make this significantly harder than it needs to be, okay?
Oh, there's only it's only 2-star? I thought that was gonna be difficult.
No, we're gonna make it harder than it needs to be. Alright, give me a second. I'll bring it to you. Well, no, the first one I didn't do right.
What if I just...
Fuck. Move! Get in the house!
Why are we going in the house?
To make it worse.
There's a lot of shit I'm hearing right now.
I believe in you, Dar! Alright. Here they come.
Alright, let's see who dies first.
Oh god, they're spotting more! Dar, I will fight with you. I will try to keep you alive as best as I can.
Alright, it's chat's time to see if they can kill us.
And Emo Uma. Oh, wait a second. I know who you're talking about. Yes, I do.
Oh, the fucking crawlers.
Watch out. Oh god, there's one sprinting. There's a red eye.
Oh, fuck!
You got this, Dar. I believe in you.
I'm gonna be honest, I fucked up my shot there.
Snakes!
Why the snakes? Not the snakes!
Oh god. Help! Oh, he broke! Okay, we got that one. Shotguns. Tachyon.
Oh, we got regen health. Let's go!
Oh, you got this. I believe in you. Agnes is a freak. I also would like to be in a emo Uma. If there's an emo Uma. Make me a horse girl, chat. Make me a horse girl. Oh, box. How much rifle ammo do you have? Do you need rifle ammo?
I got 3 shots left.
Oh shit.
Oh, it's so hard to fucking aim with this.
Here's some more. Here's 5 shots. Got him. I mostly like her because of the song Tachyon. How you doing there, Dar?
Right now we're good, just a little blurry.
Oh god, I shot the illusion. It got worse.
Oh, the fucking blur is so hard.
Oh god. Oh, there's 2 of them. There we
How
go.
much longer we got of this blur? Okay, it's about to go away.
There we go.
Oh, okay, it's gone.
Dar, I think we should do this more often. I think we should go to places, just get all of them, and see what happens.
I agree. I do think this is fun. We just need to get the gear to be able to do it.
Oh! No! Oh my god, don't bring out dogs. Oh, Lemon, I get you now. Hi, Lemon. Yes, I don't remember names also, so they could have mentioned your name, and I just don't remember names well. I remember actions more than names. And now we killed... I'm kidding, we're not killing Dar. Too cool right now.
Man.
Well, thank you for giving the shout out.
Chat tried to kill us and they done failed.
Alright.
Yeah, you're gonna have to try harder next time.
Now we can loot this place, and we can move on to the next hard spot. Oh, let me give you more, how much shotgun do you have?
Shotgun, I'm still good on. Rifle ammo, my rifle's about to break soon is the problem.
Okay, here's this. Here's some ammo for your rifle.
Alright.
What can you prove? What can you prove? And you need a pipe, I think, so we're gonna see if we can find you a pipe. Also, you infected at all?
1%.
Here's some money. He just said you. Oh, there's one more.
Oh,
Not group snakes.
Ah! Snakes! I'm sick of these motherfucking snakes
In this motherfucking UFO museum.
in this motherfucking UFO museum. Oh, zombie! Alright, now we get a loot.
Sweet. Do you make any fist weapons?
No, I don't use
Alright.
this.
And besides, we'll just,
Yoink.
I will give you spear books and I guess shotgun books. What do you
Alright,
what do you
well,
plan?
wanna know what
Go ahead.
I just got?
What'd you
that
get?
Might be a little jelly on.
What?
Well, we gotta get stuff to build it, but I now got the schematics to build us a scope.
Oh hell yeah. Hey Dart, what's your spear crafting level at?
I'm at like a solid, I think 2 or 3.
Oh perfect. Here's another spear book.
Yo, let's go. I can make the quality 3 now.
Nice. You wanna make me a spear? I'll get you some supplies.
Yeah, I need to make me a new one. This 2 is no longer something I want. It's kind of useless if you ask me.
You know what? This game is fun when we play together.
I'm gonna be honest. I kind of like the idea of let's go to the hard places and just
See if we can make it.
see if we can survive. That's
Especially with
actually
chat
a
fucking
lot
us
of
over.
fucking fun.
We'll
Yes.
wait till the cooldown resets and then we'll go attack. Oh, here, Dar. I have another book for you. This is a spear hunter bleeding damage. Spears have a 25% chance to cause bleeding.
Yeah.
Shit, actually, I'm enjoying this a lot more all of a sudden.
Listen, it's actually a fun idea.
Co-oping and actually killing. Yeah. All right. Our goal is to get to the point where we can make the stupid smoothies, so we can head to even harder places. Hi. You motherfucker. I hear a zombie breaking shit in the distance. I'm like, oh, Dar's breaking shit. I wonder what's approaching me. It's Dar.
Learn to craft your own tools for the best of the industry. That's all it was.
Amazing.
Anyway. Is there anything in the UFO itself?
I don't think so, but you can get in it.
Honestly disappointing.
This might be our new house because if you look at the walls, they're super strong and it has a lowerable gate.
Yeah, but someone's watching us. Look, there's a camera out there. We're being watched.
Yeah, you don't want to give them a show? Crazy. Yeah, here, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna get some wood. We'll make a chest, that way we can store some shit. And we'll come back here later.
Here,
I have rice shower. Oh, nice.
Here you go. That's the shit one.
You gave me the shit spear.
No, I was crafting 2 ones. I was just throwing out my old one. And here's your new spear.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Great. All right. I mean, like, with the amount of stuff chat gives us, me.
Us, yeah, us is a really loose term there.
Mm-hmm. Let me put all my supplies in here. Keep some food. I only play what's her name? Golchi.
Done using the box. Perfect.
Only Golchi. Golchi the best. Oh, a new vote. Supply vote. Okay. We're gonna try to get to the town, and I think the town is further down this way.
All right.
Have you seen Golchi's IRL father smelling his own poop twice? I have not, but that sounds amazing. Okay, I think this is wrong.
Question is, what check on vote on? What we gonna get?
Weapons, ammo, armor.
Weapons sound nice. That armor. So with that, you know they're gonna give us ammo.
I found the hardest place on the map.
Wait, did you really?
Well, not on the map, but in this area on the map, yes.
Alright, so we found our next goal after the supplies.
It is gonna be significantly harder.
Oh, look at you.
Hey, thank you for the follow. Toa, jeez. We got armor supplies. Oh, shit. You get one. Let's see. You get one, I get one. Oh, yeah!
Athletic gloves, enforcer gloves, that's all I got.
I got athletic gloves and scavenger glove. Okay,
Wait, I also got agility mod.
Yeah, you have to put it on a hat.
Oh. Now, what do these gloves do? Max stamina boost? Shit, I'll take that.
Okay, we're gonna remove this. We're gonna do this. Oh, I need to make a hat. Hit. More. Print a bit.
You make me a hat too.
Yeah.
I'll deal with a zombie trying to kill you.
Thank you. This is so exciting. This is so exciting. We're gonna get fucked. We're gonna die. It's not even gonna be.
We're gonna get fucked. Let's go.
Hey, yeah, chat. There you go. There's your mask. And that way you can modify. So you need to go to your mask. We're gonna modify it.
Fine, throw that on there.
Here's a honey for you. You tend to be in the front. Oh, do you have any? How are you on food?
A little bit low now.
There's
but
food.
I'm filled up on my bar right now.
Actually, there's another one.
All right, well, now we good.
And steroids just in case.
Just in case we got proc.
Also, some aloe. Okay. How many bullets do you have?
I'm good on ammo. I got 36 I have 36 shotgun shells, 45 rifle shells. My rifle might break on the fight, so I'll lose that possibly. But besides that, we're good.
It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Chat, we're gonna try to take over the hardest place. Oh, where's my spear? Oh, fuck. I all tapped. Oh, no. Help! You gave me a spear. Where'd I put it?
Bro, I gave you a spear and you got rid of it.
I didn't. It's here somewhere. Fuck it. Oh, go.
How the fuck did you lose it?
I don't know. Okay, I just need to repair this one then. Gochi. Give me a second here. 3, 2, 1. 2. 1. Don't stab me. Don't stab me. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Do you see the big building?
No. What's a big building?
That big building. Chat, we are so under-equipped for this. There's no way we're going to succeed in this. This is going to be amazing. I'm excited.
Alright, Chaz, this is your chance to be against us or for us. Let's see what happens.
This is a 5-star. I'm gonna start stealth. We'll see if it works. You ready?
Yeah, I agree. Let's stealth.
Oh, not that way. There's a way in here. Come on, we'll find the way in. Some horses just have chances hard scripted. Maybe. There's a way in. There's got to be a way in. Oh, here it is. We can either go through that. Can we go down, or is that a different thing?
Looks like the door over here is open.
Yep.
Hello, anyone home?
Oh, if you haven't leveled up yet, level up.
Oh, I did.
I'm gonna level up real quick, actually. Gold chi, gold chi, gold chi, gold chi, gold chi, gold chi. All right, you ready?
I'm already inside.
Oh shit. Dara's the best at stealth, chat.
Oh yeah, totally stealth. Yeah.
Oh, we got fast. I will take anything related to knives if you want to give me that.
Okay.
Appreciate it. I would love you if you were gold chi. I would love you if you were gold chi. It's true facts. Hey, Dar, I kind of triggered them.
All good. That's
I
what's
triggered
fun.
them woke liberals. No, I'm kidding. Was that you stabbing me, or was that an enemy?
Enemy, there's 2 people here.
Ah.
I got 3 of them dead.
Vanya, I already love you. You're wonderful. Not
Four
snakes! Not fucking
I'm dead.
snakes! I'll try to take care of the snakes.
I mean, I already killed 5 of these zombies.
There we go.
You got a lot of snakes
Yep.
on your ass.
Keeper summoned all the snakes. There it is.
What is this zombie?
Oh my god, Keeper.
Oh, you're outside breaking it. I'm not even gonna worry about you.
There we go. Oh, it's you. Alright.
All right.
Elevator's locked.
Cleared out the floor.
This floor. Next floor. I guess we're going down.
Down or up? All right.
That's locked. Oh.
Zombie was just in the fucking ground. Sorry.
It happens sometimes. Sometimes you're a zombie in the ground. I mean, what else are you gonna do? Don't forget to stealth.
Body bag. Yeah, I'm stealth. Don't worry.
You're so stealthy.
Yeah.
Hi, Foxy. Good morning. How you doing? Also, thank you for the bits, Keeper. I really appreciate it.
Hey, just so you know.
I saw him. Fuck, bleeding. Gonna take random shit. Chat, I think
I'm stuck on you. Oh.
Fuck.
I need to reload.
I'm still alive.
I got one of the red eyes.
Oh god.
Are you up or down right now?
Down.
Okay, you're down. Whoa! I got the weird crawly motherfucker. What the fuck is that thing?
You see it too?
Hey, I'm gonna be real. That's the first time I've ever seen the guy that's all green and glowy. What the fuck was that?
Huh? I don't know. I'm so
I
scared.
have no idea what's going on down there. I have never seen that fucker. We've never gone to a place with one of
Alexa,
those.
stop. I'm so scared.
Keeper.
God damn it, Keeper. No, I think they added the Raz after I'd played for a while. Hi, Fox vs. Wolf. How you doing?
Oh, I don't like that. Gee, I'm gonna be real. I don't like that one bit.
Just keep shooting him until he's dead, I guess. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you're doing okay, Foxy. He's not dying. He's barely reacting to anything.
Oh, fucking spawn normal ass fuckers too. Oh, this dude doesn't die.
Snakes!
Why the snakes?
Why so many
What the
snakes?
fuck, Keeper?
Okay. I'm gonna step out. Can't get out the door. I'm gonna try to bait them outside.
Oh, did you get him?
Yeah. Oh, Ocean, thank you, Ocean. Unfortunately, though.
Fucking the sickly goddamn snakes.
Wait, you can supply us a bicycle?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Meds. I'm gonna take one of these. If you want to take the honey and the menta. Oh my God, coyotes! You motherfucker!
Oh fuck! There's coyotes.
Oh God, there's one. Two. How you doing?
Oh fuck! Stupid ass dog. Yeah, run, bitch. No, fuck you.
It's so good. Oh, I can't believe we
We got no tire legs. We gotta go back in. We can't stop.
You know what the worst part is?
Huh.
It's probably gonna take us longer than 5 minutes to clear this thing, so they're gonna get it again. Oh. Okay. No.
Back downstairs.
Punish us. That was fun.
That was hella fun.
Okay, I have an idea.
Scary? A little, but
If I can find... Oh, I forgot to attach that to my armor. 1 second. Modify. Increase my reload speed. We'll drop this. I have a thing for cracked legs. Let me actually put this on my toolbar. Make sure you put the aloe on your toolbar because... Oh, it doesn't stop bleeding. Never mind. Never mind. Fuck it. Die then.
oh wait, no, it doesn't stop bleeding. Never mind.
It used to. I could have sworn. Ah.
This infection.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh yeah, infection.
Oh, we unlocked. There's a lot of new actions that unlocked. Oh God.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Ooh, whoa, whoa. Oh God, did you ever just get a wave of sleepies hit you all of a sudden?
It's kind of what happens after you get that wave of like adrenaline. It's usually that. Oh, fucking dogs, Vanya!
Don't summon me into this. What the fuck? Just one coyote to get fucked up by us. Oh, whoa, ooh. Oh, chat, fuck. I think I might have quit breathing at one point.
Bro, I'm gonna be real. That radiant guy kind of spooked the fuck out of me. I've not seen him.
How are you on ammo?
I'm not... we're still good. My rifle, I think I got a single shot left until it's broken, so I kind of need a.
How are you on shotgun shells?
Shotgun shells, I still got about 29.
1 second.
Yeah.
Pick him up individually. We'll see if we can find a pipe.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Oh, I think I found the... Oh my God, we found a checkpoint, basically. Oh God.
Checkpoint unlocked.
Oh, that was actually really fun. Oh, I do it again. I do it again. Take your pills.
What we got in here? Damage mitigation, but minus 20
Hey,
water.
I would appreciate that. Thank you, Lemon. His horse name should be something like bitch ass. Thank you for the lurk, Keeper. How are you on foods?
Good.
Okay. Do you want to improve your fortitude by +1?
The fuck does that do?
Here, I'm giving you soup. Eat the soup. It'll increase your fortitude.
Alright.
Oh, I'm sorry you have ads. God, I hate when I get diagnosed with ads. Huh. Hey, Dart, there's nothing behind me. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I'll just leave you be.
Oh.
You wouldn't lie to me, right?
No, totally not. Who would ever lie to you? That's just Fred's. I found Fred's Dar.
Okay.
and make him bleed.
You know, I kind of like when they're slow like this.
Me too. Imagine if we're still here at night. Because we're not allowed to leave until we clear this. I hope you know.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's the rules. I agree.
Enjoy your work. 12 a.m. You have to go to work at 12. I'm so sorry, Foxy. I hope you're okay.
But hear me out. What if we do a run with the integration where we can only go loot and kill shit at nighttime?
You know what we'll do? We'll keep this world active, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then when we play next time, we can only do it at night.
We can only hunt at night.
That way we have the supplies we currently have. So that like, you know, at least we have some sort of chance. Oh, me not getting your way.
Yeah, it'd probably be good.
Did you stab me?
I hope I did. I tried stabbing that guy. I don't think I did, but it might have.
There we go. There's another. I missed that one completely. That was rough. Whew. There we go. Coffee. Do you folks like coffee from the hills of Colombia? Oh, that's you. Ooh.
Somehow missed.
Oh, cause
I'm not sure.
I wrist flicked that. I whoosh. Thank you for the regen. All right.
Man, if only the elevators worked, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I don't know how they would work. I don't know if this game has the code to handle that. All right. I guess up we go. Welcome back. Welcome back, Lemon. Missed you. Oh, shit. Yeah, reload. I don't like the fact that that thing's lit.
That's probably fine.
Chad, is the game too dark for you? Y'all can see, right?
Oh, we can't get up over there.
There you go, Chad. Hopefully you can see a little bit better. This door's open. There's nothing in here.
That's a bathroom.
Mm-hmm. See my nuts.
Oh.
What the fuck, Vanya? Vanya, what the fuck? What did I do? Oh, shit. There it is. There it is. Oop, there it is. Come on.
Alright, so I might have made a dire mistake.
What'd you do?
I totally didn't bring the mats to make a new spear.
Okay, well, first let me do this. Okay, they're coming. Do you just need stone to repair yours?
Oh wait, I forgot you can repair. What does it take to repair?
Stone. Oh fuck! How'd the bird get in? How'd the fucking bird get in?
Yeah, I would just need stone repair. I forgot you can repair shit.
Stone. There you go, sweetie.
Oh, perfect.
The fucking bird that I hate. What was that from? That fucking bird that I hate.
Actually, I'm not sure where that's from.
I know Vanya used to say it all the time. I remember you sent me the meme. I just cannot remember what it's from. Hey, I leveled up. Nice.
Whoa!
Oh, shit. I am out of ammo for a second. 1 sec. Hook him up.
Yeah, fire that bitch.
Oh, he's dead. Okay. Oh, there's another one. Please relink it. Please relink it. Yes.
There.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
By the way, just for the fun, I want you to know we just got this guy slowly trying to break this door.
He's got it. He's gonna make it eventually. Look at him. He's not even trying to break the door. He's trying to jump through it. Oh, let me help you. Oh no, he got tired.
Oh,
He got eepy.
no. I think we have 2 paths. Oh wait, no, this door's locked. All right, we only have 1 path.
Wait, there's a door here.
Wait, was there something in here?
Oh, it's...
Yeah, okay, yeah. All right.
Dar, I found your friend. Give me a kiss.
What do they do?
Give me a kiss. Come here, Dar. Give me a kiss. Ow, he hit me. Your friend hit me.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Alright. We're gonna see if I can goo myself. There we go. I gooed. I gooed so good. Thank you for the help potion. Oh god, it's a fat man! Dar, the obesity epidemic is coming.
Hey, we got another green spitter.
Oh, no, this one's different. Chad, it's the American obesity epidemic. Fuck.
Hey, hopefully this doesn't fuck us over.
Oh, hey, God. Oh, not gone. Did you get a crate over there?
Not that I saw, no.
I gotta find it. Oh, ammo.
Oh wait, it's over there. Oh fuck! It's right here.
Get it.
It's food.
Anything
Food,
good?
I tell you, food.
Some of the food has buffs. I was let him bleed.
Don't mind me, I'm trying some shit out real quick because I don't have space. And I'd rather not be encumbered.
All right, I got a level. I'm gonna level. I think deep cuts would be.
Actually, yeah, I've got I think 2 or 3 levels. I need to use those.
We'll do more deep cuts. Nice. Ow! Oh god, they can spawn shit again.
Ah, shit. Alright. Hey, perfect timing. We have a way to go upstairs now.
Yeah. Did you check all these rooms over here?
Hey, there's some guys over
Mm-hmm.
here.
Is there? I believe in you. I believe in you. Believe in the me that believes in you, that believes in the heart of the cards. I need to stop wasting bullets, TBH. I just like shooting them, but like we should probably use it when it's an emergency situation, like a runner. Dar. Hey, Dar.
Alright, fine. Yeah.
It's nighttime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say, we can't quit.
We gotta finish this. All right. To be fair, if we can beat this, we can get to the top. There's probably a safe zone up top. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. I don't like this, Dar. Oh god.
I got mine.
You got mine too. All right. I'm gonna play it smart. I have an idea.
Alright, what's your idea? Run me through it.
Okay, so I'm gonna get a bunch of wood and make wood traps, spike traps, so that if we run into a situation where shit goes insane, I can put down the spike traps, we hide behind it, and we stab them.
Okay.
Yeah? And then we scream and cry and run. How do you feel about crying? Can you cry for me? Dar, cry for me right now. You're so good at crying. It's a weird thing to say to people, but you know.
Yeah, it's not over the year people say it.
God, I love the way you cry. Wait, I have double this. Okay. He laid down. He drew a thing. Oh, well, I hope you drew well. I like drawing. Drawing is so cool.
Wait, what did I send Vanya in DMs? What? Apparently I sent something. I don't even know what I fucking sent you in DMs. If I'm being honest, Vanya. What did I send you? I gotta check. What did I send Vanya?
Right.
Oh! I sent a picture. I sent Vanya an image of a GIF of them.
By the way, chat, how's everybody doing? I'm sorry I've been kind of ignoring you a little bit. It was not my intent to ignore you.
Box!
My box, fuck you. I have 1 steroid. Do you have steroids?
Yeah, I got steroids.
How are you on disease resistance and cure fatigue? Here, take one of these.
I got 2 painkillers. And I got herbal antibiotics that deal with infections.
Do you have vitamins? Take vitamins.
I'm taking vitamins.
Okay, and I'm gonna take some vitamins. And I'm gonna take some... How are you on water?
Still good, honestly.
Okay.
Surprisingly.
Here is some tea, in case your water goes down.
Oh, here, wait. That reminds me. I got something I wanted to give. Never mind. I threw it away. No, never mind. I threw it away. No, never mind. I still have it. Here you go. I got this just for you.
Beer! That's the emergency beer.
I got the emergency beer.
When shit goes really south, we just drink the beer. We fucking box.
Do we go up?
We go up.
Right,
I hear something weird outside.
Never mind.
By the
We
way.
don't go up that way.
Well, maybe the elevator?
No. Was there a different route over here, maybe? Another door over here? Ah, that's locked. Oh, this door. That's locked.
Oh, maybe outside is a way up.
No. Oh my god, there's many floors left still. Alright.
Oh, yeah.
My guess is there might be like a key we're missing somewhere that unlocks some doors. Oh wait, actually wait, no, it's probably over here. Because we can get on the roof here.
Yeah, so we just run across this. By the way, we are just now. Oh, dogs!
Why are there dogs?
Fuck. 2 dead. 3 dead. Oh god. Do you hear that?
Oh, yeah, I don't like it.
Oh, this is the worst.
That regen saved me from a lot of different debuffs I had. It just healed them all. That regen is so fucking nice.
I love it. There's another dog.
Oh, there's more dogs.
Got the dog. Ah, dog's here.
Oh, we got another dog. Oh, that's bad. We got a biker with red eyes.
Oh my fucking. Okay, dog first. We have a goo man. Okay, we need to go outside. Go outside.
Oh, I can't jump. I might be dead here.
Fuck. Keep running. Keep running.
I'm stuck. I'm stuck.
I'm so sorry, Dar.
I was stuck. I couldn't get out.
Put down the fucking spikes. Oh, there it is. I'll survive for you, Dar.
Right. One down. I'm watching on the stream end now.
Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Blood, 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 blood. I have nothing for blooding. I have nothing for bleeding. Beer time. Alright. Dar, we got lucky. They're eating your body.
Bro, I fell in the hole apparently because I couldn't see where I was jumping. I couldn't get out of the hole.
Oh, that's the worst. Okay. I think I'm stealthed. They'll never find me. I also can't see. Wait, I think this might work. Your sacrifice was not in vain. He's stuck in the hole. He got out of the hole. Reload.
He's stuck on the one zombie. I'm watching through the stream.
Fuck. Okay.
I'm totally gonna be able to do this.
I
right?
believe in you. I believe in you.
Oh, I've made a grave mistake.
Today be bedrot day? Today be bedrot day. What the fuck?
Hey, chat, you guys want to activate jump by any chance? I would love you so much if you did.
Dar, this way. Come with me, Dar.
If chat activates oh, yes, I got back to my body because of that.
Thank you, bud. Yeah.
Much love. Oh my god, I'm able to get to my body because of that.
By the way, some reason there was a door that was open and a bunch of crawlers got in and jumpers and a bunch of shit.
Oh,
so,
okay.
you know, how about we just go inside and pretend they aren't real?
Yeah.
Oh god, there they are!
Oh my god! Let's deal with them one at a time. One down.
This is amazing.
See, this is when the gun's useful.
There we go.
This jumper is not cool.
There we go. Oh.
2 down. Oh no, the jump. Oh no.
Look. Okay, getting out of there. I thought I killed you. Stop the spikes.
Oh, my health is not in a good spot. That was the wrong button.
He fell.
I'm at 16 HP and a dream
Oh, God.
right now. Do I have anything to heal with?
Aloe. You should have aloe.
Does that heal you?
Yep.
5 HP? Yeah, listen, I'll take it right now.
Also food. Food heals you.
Oh.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay.
We're good. You know,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Give me a...
Oh, fuck!
Is something happening? I had to alt my screen real quick.
Now we're good.
Okay, we're back. Lovelies, we're back. Okay.
They still gave us the regen. Much love, whoever it was.
Probably Ocean. Ocean always gives us all the best shit. Ocean, you're the best. And Vanya, you're the best. I appreciate you giving Daroard...
giving us the jump, maybe
Yeah.
so I can get to you. Why is the guy running away?
He's scared. He's just a little scared guy. Let him be...
He ran away. He's trying to fight me. Oh, fuck!
We did it. None of us died. Oh my god.
Wait, I just noticed something. You want to hear something funny?
Yes.
We went in a circle. My guess
No.
is there
This
has-
door was locked. This door was locked.
Yeah, so there has to be something in here we
Yeah.
can get through, I would assume.
Because, yeah, what happened was the door was locked and then all the zombies broke it down. So it's definitely over here somewhere. Here it is.
Oh, found it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes.
No? Yes?
Yes.
Maybe? Possibly?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep. Okay, you have to come out. You have to come out this window over here. There's a vent. You have to jump from the vent over here.
Oh, fuck. I'm bad at parkour.
Nailed it. A vending machine. I could. Oh, I don't have any money.
Yeah, sir? Yeah?
Oh! Why'd I yell that like that?
Oh, he's got me against the wall.
Fuck me.
I did not agree to take on 2 bikers at once. That's way above my pay grade.
All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. The monkey thought it was all in good fun. Pop goes the weasel. And I parkour.
I'm gonna be real. Only reason I'm alive is because that fucking regen.
Oh. Wait, why is there a hurt? Why can you just hurt? Why is hurting a redeemable? Oh god, watch out! Oh god! Don't open this door. Do not open this door. Do not open this door. Do not open this door. Reload. 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 If you have ammo, reload. Get ready. Are you ready?
I guess.
There we go. Oh god, she was so fast. Oh, dynamite! Did you get a crate? Here.
I was taking pills. Hold
Pipe
up.
bomb.
Oh.
Canadian! Canadian! Canadian!
Not the Canadian! Oh, hey. Great.
Oh, look at you.
Oh god, we got a yucca smoothie. Okay. 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 How are you on steroids? Do you need some steroids?
I'm still good.
All right. How are you on a hydration? Food? Everything good?
Yeah, because I died. It reset my heart.
Here is some painkillers for health. You bitch!
You did! Spotted fucking birds? That's fucked! Why do they have that option? I fucking hate the birds.
We haven't found any pipes, have we?
No, so I've not been using my fucking rifle.
Oh. Okay, maybe there's pipes. Nope. Oh god, I wish I had pipes. I wish I had pipes. I wish I had pipes. Alright, this way, Dar. Out the window.
Oh, is there...
Bird!
Bird! Zombie. Hey, you deal with the bird. I got the zombie. I'm gonna go up even higher.
Yep. You do have pipes I could sing? Yeah, but I'm not ripping out my throat to put it in. Oh, wait. Trash. No pipe.
Oh, I found pipe!
Congratulations.
I'm gonna let you deal with the... okay, never mind. I'll help you with him.
Regen. Woo! Actually, I have a thought. Can I scrap these for pipe? Nope. Wood. Oh, well, I'm taking all the chairs.
I'm currently repairing all of my fucking gear.
Perfect. Okay. Oh boy. Call a plumber, fix his pipes. Hey, yo, plumber, you wanna fix my pipes? You wanna pipe me?
Now, even though it does, technically, I'm not counting that death that happened to me, because, you know, that was bullshit.
We didn't
I fell
both
in a
die.
hole.
Well, you know, yeah,
And we
no,
didn't both die.
yeah, exactly. The hole was bullshit. We won't count it.
So if we don't count it, if Chad agrees, I mean, so far we're still doing it, no deaths.
Fucking vulture.
Fucking vultures! I hate vultures so much.
Shot it in the dick. Okay. Dar, I have risk here. We have to go down.
Yeah.
I hear an ooey gooey boy.
Oh. Boy, ooey gooey.
I know, right? He's an ooey gooey boy. This is insane map, by the way. Not the snakes. Where are the snakes?
Fuck that snake.
Oh shit.
That doesn't sound pleasant.
Oh fuck, oh fuck.
Oh, yeah.
It's a screamer.
A what?
The screamers summon more. Come on, keep going, come back.
Oh, I killed them all.
Oh. You just put down that dog
I'm
like...
not dealing. I am not dealing with that. It spawned right in front of me as I pulled my shotgun out.
He put him down like Old Yeller. I mean, my God, man is gone.
It was just fucking instant. It spawned in. Didn't even get that much time to see life.
I love being an alive animal. Oh God.
I'm not gonna lie, which is funny because like our playthrough of 7 Days has always just been fucking around, not doing the actual game fully.
Yeah.
This is hella fucking fun, actually.
Right?
Like actually doing the big shit's fucking sick.
Yeah. Here's some honey. This. You can just take. Yeah, I'm only gonna take the aloe. Oh, it's daytime.
Oh my god, we survived the night.
A new vote has started. Nice. Burnt attack, janitor attack, or question mark, chat? What do you want, chat?
Oh, dude, you always got a gamba, chat.
We got water. I just want pipes.
I have pipes.
Oh, can I have a pipe?
Yeah. I didn't know you. I didn't know you needed one also.
Yeah.
When I found pipes, I found 4 of them.
Oh, is all your stuff repaired?
Yep.
I'll use
All
these
my
two
guns
then.
are repaired.
Sweet. Okay, we're good. We can make it through. Oh, I love the gamba. Okay, chat.
Slowly looting while we go through too. Anything that looks important, loot.
I hope I don't. Am I moving too fast? Is that making people sick? I was worried that I'm so jittery.
So, as someone that has only played 7 Days to Die whenever I play with you,
Yeah.
so have not gotten far at all, as obviously.
No, you were kind of obsessed with the game for a little while.
I was, but it was only clearing out like the small houses and shit. I haven't actually played the game fully.
Right.
Is there a lot of 5-star buildings like this?
So there is at least. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck.
I got a lot of them down.
Hello. There is at least one per area, like the big areas, and they each get harder. And there's a few like 4-star ones as well. You motherfucker! I just killed it. Fucking aura. How you doing, Mitchie? Hi, Mitchie. How you doing? How's life? What are you feeling? Yes, there are quite a few of them. Damn it, Aura!
I was taking a drink.
Okay, how's your dogs? Mitchie? Good. Is this too jittery, chat? Should I? Yeah, chat. I'm gonna lower my movement of my thing because I don't want to make you all sick. I realize watching this is probably like a pain in the ass.
So, there's more 5 stars depending on each area.
There is definitely
How
more
many
stars.
areas are there?
I think there is. Oh fuck. I think there is. I can find the setting I'm looking for. My God. Fuck. Okay. So there's the Badlands. There's the ice, and there is the Thank you for the hydration slide, leather. How you doing? Welcome. Okay, so there's the Badlands, desert, and ice areas that we haven't gone. So there should be at least one big area per. So we can make that. That's what the goal of this game is to finish all of those.
Honestly, we could, if you want, we can do that. Try to make that the goal of each stream is clearing out one of the big areas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how hard it is to get to them, but
They did add in
with chat interaction, it's a lot of fun.
They added an artificial like slowing down thing where you have to dance off. What the fuck? You have to find smoothies. Oh, it's over here, Dar. You have to craft smoothies, and when you craft the smoothies, it allows you to access the area without taking extra damage.
Oh, okay.
So, this is so gross. Okay.
Why?
So we will have to like that might be one of the things of us having to just get the things we need.
I feel like that could be a fun just playthrough, keep interactions on the whole time, and actually work to actually beat the game, not just fuck around like we normally do.
Yeah.
Because this is fucking hella fun.
Right. Just tired?
It hasn't been hella fun, but like.
I wonder what dance off does.
Wait, dance off? What?
Yeah, we have dance off.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
I don't know if I like that.
All zombies break out and dance.
Oh. All right. Wait, where's the zombie at? I want to see.
There we go. Okay.
Bro, he fucking getting down with it!
Oh yeah, he be.
Yeah, bro, he getting down! Oh shit! He didn't like that we were judging him. Oh my god, it's actually so sick!
Oh god, I'm getting hit.
That's fucking cool.
M put slow on us. How dare you? How you doing, M? Don't hurt Dar.
Ow! What the?
I got fast. They're so groovy. You know, check.
This is actually fucking funny. I love that.
Okay.
Wait, is this actual? Okay, wait. There's an actual stairs that go up here. They
No.
don't actually break off.
All right. Do you have everything reloaded? Are you good?
That's probably a good idea to check. One second.
Don't shit myself. Don't shit
Alright, we're
myself.
good.
Don't shit myself. Don't shit myself. Don't shit myself. Don't shit myself. We're fine. I'm shitting myself. No. Chad, I'm shitting myself. Oh god.
Sure.
It's like, you know, don't shit myself. I want to save this thing, and now
Now,
I'm shitting
I
myself.
feel like I shouldn't attempt this, but I really want it.
I believe in you. You got this.
Well, look. Tell me if I'm wrong here. So if we come over here, we can hop up here, yeah? But I'm good. I didn't fall too far. Anyways,
Oh.
doesn't it look like we can hop over this?
No. Maybe.
You don't think we can hop on the couch? Oh, I'm on you.
We'll go the official path.
Yeah, let's go the official path. It'll be more fun. Ow! Be more fun that way.
This way.
Locked. Oh, this looks safe.
You got that. I believe in you. Oh god. Okay. Hey, Dart, stand near me. Oh fuck.
I don't know where you're at right now. I'm dealing with a goat.
Ah, watch out!
Whoa! All right.
Watch out, Dart!
Oh, it's a fucking one of those guys again.
Are you alive?
Yeah. Somehow I didn't get hit by any of those.
Who the? Okay. God, there's so many.
Oh, not good. Oh, it's really not good.
I believe in you, Dar.
Oh, I might be dead. I actually might be dead here. Yep.
No.
I was stunned and fucking bleeding hard.
I might keep us going though. I might keep us going. As long as one of us makes it through.
I believe.
I hear the dogs. Oh god.
I wonder if I can find a way to get back up.
Well, or if you'd saved your spawns, you would have something to summon now. Okay. Okay, I'm staying alive. Staying alive. Staying alive. Missed. Fuck.
Oh, body give you the jump. I was able to skip to that spot again.
Fuck me.
Trying to see if I can cheat my way up some areas.
Oh fuck. Fuck. Take the pills, take the pills, take the pills, take the pills. Out the window. Oh god. How the fuck did you get here?
Stay alive, Gene.
Trying.
Bonnie gave me the boost to get to you. I'm trying to get to you.
Okay.
Somehow, with my horrible ass memory, I'm remembering the fucking route.
Okay. Okay. I found a safe spot for now. I was eating a bunch of food to heal me. There's spiders now. What do you mean there's spiders?
What? There's what?
Regen!
I remember that ledge that we had to walk across.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm not that far.
Okay, I don't know where the ferals went. There he is. Fucking bastard.
Oh. Alright, well, I got bad news.
Die feral, 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 die! 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 Die!
Help!
Oh. Oh, fuck. Good luck. I believe in you.
I'm trying to get my stuff. I need you to get their attention real quick. Perfect.
I don't want to die. You died, Stan. You got nothing. What is that? More are coming.
Fucker just took 2 shotguns to the fucking face.
I killed him.
Anyways, hey, I made it back somehow.
Good to see you.
I know that one did count as a death. There's no bullshit on that one. I just got fucked.
But I survived.
But you survived, so the run's still alive.
The run is still alive. Hey, Nix. How you doing, Nix? What is up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. There's dogs here somewhere. I hear them. Oh, here they are.
That timing, I'm sorry. There's dogs somewhere. The fucking dog breaks through the fucking ceiling.
Did you just summon?
Spider.
Oh, fuck jumpers.
What?
Oh, are the jumpers
spiders
called?
jumpers?
Oh. Don't spawn, coyote.
They can spawn these fucking jumpers now.
Oh, dog on me, dog on me. Are you stuck?
You got that dog in you.
Oh shit, I need heals, I need heals. What do I have for healing? I'll use food.
Chat, regen us. Cough,
I'm
cough.
just gonna keep drinking random shit until I heal. I'm gonna keep eating all the food I have. Heal faster.
Chat, regen.
4 seconds. 4 seconds.
Let's
Yeah!
go, Vanya!
Oh god, there's so much stuff they can spawn. Oh, they can spawn biker, not a bike.
Oh. Alright.
Oh my god. Oh, thank you for the lurks. Oh, what do we get? Damn it.
Ah, you just had to say it.
You're fine, I believe in you.
I think these motherfuckers are. Alright.
Oh, chat,
So
what?
this is the way to go, looks like, by the way?
Maybe.
There's a ledge right here.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know.
You got
I
it.
don't know if that's actually the route. I don't trust that's the route.
You got it. Yeah, it is.
Oh, can you just walk? It didn't look like you could.
Yeah, pretty much. You just have to angle it. There you go. Oh, watch out.
Alright, so we don't have a spot to run. We gotta.
Fuck. Thank you. Push forward.
That is a shovel I just tried to use that zombie with.
Okay, give me a second here. Has my thing been messed up this whole time? My YouTube studio? Oh no, we're good, we're good. Okay.
I was gonna say it looks fine on mine.
I have it shift tabbed somehow, but I can't unshift tab it.
Wait, there's a new vote going on. What are we voting for?
Alright, how are you on meds and shiz?
Yeah, I got honey.
Here's some damage mitigation. And here's a steroid in case you need it. Okay, can I also repair any of my armor? Let's see, chat. Let's see if I have anything to repair. Nope. 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 Guess we can't repair their armor. Yay!
Why would we get that benefit?
Alright.
Might have triggered more zombies.
That's fine. Hi! How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. Aika? Hi, Aika. Welcome. Oh shit!
Crates.
You want to get the other?
Wait, weapon crates?
Knife!
Oh my god, let's fucking go! Wait, what the fuck did I just get? Iron spear? Shit.
Chat.
Oh, hold up.
I gotta. Wait. Did we each get a crate that has stuff for us?
Wait, what did you get?
I got a hunting rifle and a knife.
I didn't check my other thing. Oh, mine was a hunting rifle too.
Nice.
I'm assuming hunting rifle's better than a pipe rifle?
100% yes. It reloads so much faster.
Was your hunting rifle also level 3?
Oh no, mine's level 1, you bastard.
I got that fucking iron spear though.
Oh, watch that crawler. Vulture.
Okay, fucking bleeds.
Thank you for the lurk. Thank you for the lurk. Oh, this is insane. Fucking dog. The dog that I hate. I hate that they're coyotes. I wish they were dogs, because the coyote's not so slow.
You evil, evil person.
Okay.
Alright, we need to find a way to get on top of here, it looks like.
Oh, here.
Here it is. Slow that fast. Oh wait, we're almost at the top.
Yeah, we are.
That sounds so close. Oh, it's probably right here. Yo, the fucking iron spear kind of fucks.
The hunting rifle fucks. It's so quick to reload.
Yo, that weapon crate really did work for us.
Uh-oh. Aura with his jumping snakes, Jesus.
Oh my god, you're not lying. This shit reloads so fucking fast.
This is doable. Like, it's actually like, fucking vulture.
Alright, you want to do a quick level up spot? I didn't realize I have a lot of levels.
I didn't kiss you. That'd be weird. Yeah, I do too. Shit, yeah. Okay, maybe I'll actually start putting stuff into rifles. Where's rifle?
I'm actually gonna keep leveling up my perception. That's what I've been doing. I have 3 levels in Deadeye and 3 levels in Spearmaster. And I'm working on my perception.
Okay, I'm doing agility mostly for like bows and stuff, but you know what? Let's do some in perception. Let me get some Deadeye up in here. Ooh.
Ooh.
Explosive crate. Hi. Thank you for the hydrate.
I don't know if I feel safe with myself having 3 pipe bombs.
You know, sometimes you just need to have some pipe bombs, right?
Hey, that one had my name. I'm just saying.
Fine, I'll take this one then. No, you have that.
Honey? Shit, I'll take the honeys.
Take coffee. Throw away this. Throw away this.
I don't need this. I'm throwing away this fucking glove.
Scrap it. Use it.
Fly ammo crate too? Oh my god, you said you like arrows, right? There you go, look at there.
Holy shit. Okay, well.
Bro, chat's hooking us up right now.
Oh, the explosive ones are crossbow bolts, but I do get nice arrows, so we're good. We're ready. We can take this. Is that so? Welcome back, yo. Welcome back, yo. Oh, mag leather.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, there's a guy.
That was a lot of fucking loot you guys just gave us.
I'm gonna nail this guy.
I didn't see that, dude.
That's why we sneak.
Oh my god, a first aid kit. Oh, I got myself a safety.
Dog. Oh, he got behind us.
How the fuck are you still alive?
Don't spawn the fucking bird. Okay, that bird that I hate. Fucking. There it is. Oh god. We took too long. They give us just enough time to do our shit. I don't know if he was already dead, but you know.
Does it? Motherfucker, I'm trying to check something. God damn it, Vanya. Mother doggy on me. Can I see, like, does it actually give me damage numbers on these? It does.
It
okay,
does.
yeah, this is a lot better. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my fucking trippy, man.
Oh god! There's so many of
I
them.
one-shot mine. How are you doing?
Working on it. There it is. Oh god. Oh, I hate the trippy. I hate the trippy so
Dang,
much.
Trippy's rough.
Oh.
Is there a ladder to get back up? Okay, we have a way to go down there, but I want to check see if there's anything
There's
else.
definitely higher up. We're not at the top yet.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think it's almost time for the ultimate boss.
Wait, is there actual boss?
It's not a boss, but it's more enemies and like stronger guys.
You got me excited. The idea that it would be like.
Well, I don't
bosses.
know.
That'd be
I actually haven't played on this mode, but there might be. We'll see. Taking that. Spawn biker. Hate biker. Missed.
Although we're being honest, it's like red guys are kind of like bosses.
Yeah. That's what I'm imagining. I'm imagining there's gonna be like a big rad guy. Oof. Okay. All right. We're not at the top yet. Oh. Blew his fucking head up.
Bro, this rifle is so fucking sick.
It is, it is. I gotta use some stuff real quick.
Honestly, I should probably heal up too.
Food. And I think we're good for right now. Sweet. Guess who's EP? Is it you, Vanya? I get some eeps. Get some eeps, Vanya. Vanyers. Chad, I hope you know we've gone a whole extra hour so far.
I think it's because we're like, we gotta beat this area.
Yeah.
We just haven't stopped.
Haven't beaten it yet, so you know.
Oh, here it is. This gets to the top, it looks like.
Oh god, here it is, chat. Do you have everything? Do you have your explosives?
Oh, yeah, I got them on me.
Let's do this shit.
Oh my god, that is a lot.
I'm sure it's fine. Oh god, they're already hitting me and I haven't even made it up here.
Oh, don't run there. Wait, I didn't light the pipe up, or did I?
Oh, you
I don't know how
have to
use the
right
pipe
click,
up.
right click it. Oh fuck, I fell. Ooh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Oh, I'm not dead here. Oh, the
Jump down, jump down, jump down here. I can't get up. Hey, can anybody give me jump? I would love jump if anybody can give me jump. I want to help Dar.
Oh, I might be fucked. Shit, this might be it for me.
Come on down the hole. We can't use commands during a vote. No.
I don't know where the hole is.
Over here.
I don't know where
Look at
over
the
here
mini
is.
map. On the mini map. On the compass. 6 seconds.
Oh. I want you to know the only reason I'm alive at the moment is I had a fucking first aid kit running that whole time. I was getting fucked.
Fuck. Fuck.
Alright, I'm slowly getting back.
Taking pills, taking pills, taking pills. Ah, jump, thank you! Oh my god, chat, you're the fucking greatest. You are the fucking greatest, chat.
Oh, the regen. Oh, the regen.
Aura with that bird that I hate. Ugh, missed. Fuck. There it is. Ugh, fucking hell, this bird.
Oh my god, the zombie started eating the other zombie. Yes.
Okay, we're doing shotgun. Oh my god, there's lag right now on my screen, so I can't hit the bird. There we go.
By the way, I want you to know I've just been slowly going downstairs while I'm being chased by zombies. In case you're wondering where I'm at.
Totally fine. I get you. Ah. Oh fuck! 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 Take the pills, take the pills, take the pills. I can't use the pills. What do you mean I can't use the pills?
By the way, whoever gave us the weapon shit, I love you so much. I was like, one of the main reasons I'm not dead either. Oh, this hunting rifle.
Oh my God.
So much work.
Oh fuck! Why are there so many of them?
No, the lag, the fucking lag. Oh, no.
Oh, the fucking lag. Y'all saw that, right? If it wasn't for that bird, I would have survived.
Well, do you want the bad news or the good news?
What's the bad news?
The bad news is you dead.
Well, yeah.
Good news, I killed all the zombies that were on you.
There was so many ferals. You killed all the ferals?
Yes.
Chat, is there any chance you... Oh, wait, you can't do any cooldowns on me because I died. And Dar was special because he wasn't getting it on him. It was gone through me. Damn it. Chat, can you give Dar jump?
Can there be a cooldown that just teleports you to me? That'd be cool. Where's that ability at?
Alright, well...
Oh, fuck. I actually might die.
Don't die, I believe in you. Oh, this is convenient. Because there's been so many zombies, they have opened up new pathways for us on accident. So
I have 3 ferals on my ass right now. This is not...
I believe in you.
Not good.
I believe in you. Oh god! No! He brought them to me!
Wait, where? I don't know where they went. How did they get to you?
Okay, how do we get up further? There it is. Chat, we can finish this. We can finish this. Not Aura giving us a fucking crate that is at the top of the map.
Oh, did you make it to the top again?
I'm almost. I'm trying to make
I'm
it.
still running from the ferals.
Wait, where the fuck am I? Ow, spikes! Where the fuck am I?
How long? Hey, chat, how long can you give us a health regen again? Oh!
I think I found it. Okay. Oh god, there's a boomer. Dar, I'm with you.
Oh, I'm so fucking low.
If I die right when I get up here, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed. You motherfucker! You motherfucker!
It took me so long to get up there.
So you wanna know the worst part about it is? You die, which means the cooldown's fucking restarted again.
I deserved. Why do I deserve this? I'm so nice to all of you. I love you all so much. Why do you hate me?
I need a fucking spank food. I need to eat. I need health so bad.
Okay. Vanya, I would never hate you. I would never hate anybody. I don't have the effort in my body to hate. I actually forgive people way too fucking easily.
No!
TBH.
I died.
Alright, that's a fine. I'll make it to the top and we'll be okay. Oh god, oh god, okay. There's so many things in this place. Fuck me.
How do I get in without a jump boost is the question.
That's a good question. Front door. I broke my leg, chat. I broke my leg, chat. Okay.
Oh, why is there a spider? Why is there a spider?
Yeah, welcome to my life.
fuck you doing here, sir?
Oh, loot.
Go up here.
Hey, Forge Book. Nice.
By the way, you are not lying about a shit ton of motherfuckers up there.
Yeah.
God damn.
Chat, I'm looping. Chat, I'm so lost. Oh, fuck. God, I have to go the entire fucking way. Chat, I love you so much. I hope you know that.
Are you also currently lost?
Yep. I'm technically going the right direction.
Oh, hi, I'm above you. How you
Look at
doing?
you.
How the fuck did you get it?
Oh no.
Well,
I know you're a lot of angry motherfuckers.
guess what, chat? Come here, Blinky. Okay, I know
How
how.
the fuck do I get up from here?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was here that I need to go. Yes, okay. Not a dog. Okay, now we go left. I remember this. Okay, that way.
Oh my god.
Ah! We're not allowed to leave until we finish this, by the way.
Just so you know, remember that one path I said, hey, I want to take that, but we're like, no, let's go the right way.
It's open now?
instead?
Yeah.
I took that path. You can jump over it. I was able to get to my shit again. I'm at my dead body. Where are you at? Let me try to get to you so I can help you get your shit now that we have a second to breathe. Yeah, if you hop on the right, you can't crawl under it, but you can hop on the side.
No. Oh yeah, I can't go over because my leg is broken.
Oh! Alright, well, we got a minute. If you can survive for a minute, chat can regen if they're nice.
Oh god, there's a jumper! No, you shot me!
You shot me!
I was trying!
You shot me! Why would you shoot me?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump past the crawler! Nope! No! Fuck you and your fucking jumping, you dog-ass bitch! That's all I hear. That's all I hear.
You want to know the best part?
Yeah.
I killed the jumper with that shot also!
Oh my god. I hate you and your dog-ass self, you motherfucker. That's all I heard. I heard the shark screaming it. Put me down like a fucking dog. I mean, Jesus. You know, I've heard about hate crimes before. I just never thought I'd experience one.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, God.
A lot of the stair pathways, by the way, you don't have to jump through the windows. I did, like, no window parkour. I just went upstairs. A lot of the pathways have...
All right, you feel sick? I'm sorry you feel sick. What's going on, bud? There's a feral! Ah! Ah!
Wait! I'm destroying the couch! If you get to the couch, it's gonna be destroyed!
Ah! Ah!
Right. I'm coming down! I'm coming down! What floor are you on?
I don't know! I can't count!
Oh, you're below me! I see your thing! Over here!
Close the door! Close the door!
Over here! Come up! I broke the couch. We can just keep going up.
The game of agony and despair.
Alright, we're...
Oh, my stuff is upstairs. Where am I going? I'm so lost.
I think it's this way.
Why is he making these noises? Don't worry about my noises.
Yeah, we're able to still keep going up. There's more.
Help! I'm lost. Oh, there's more stairs.
Yeah.
I forgot that stairs exist. Is that my other backpack?
There's even more stairs.
There's so many backpacks. I'm gonna get up there. I'm gonna hit one rock,
And if you
I'm gonna
see,
die.
this is where you die. Wait, where's your backpack?
No, my backpack's further up.
Okay, well you died in this room. I thought.
No, I died out here.
Oh, okay.
I died on the stairway and out here. I considered jumping, but I was like, I'm just gonna fucking die. Let's not do that. All right.
All right.
Let's finish this. Oh god. You know we just. Oh god, the feral.
Are you good?
I don't want to die again. Stop hitting me. We completely missed this room, by the way, which has a large ammo bag.
Alright, there's a feral jumping right on you.
Look, you and your bitch ass. Put you down like the dog I am. Not a dog, sorry.
Clip it, chat.
Okay. Oh god, I'm lightheaded. I'm dying. Kill me.
Oh no. How long until cooldown's? A minute and 40. Chat can save us.
Okay. Oh my god, I just got 132 ammo. By the way, we're probably gonna.
Wait. Oh, we can't
No,
ride
we need
it?
to break it for parts. We might get a good part from it. Did you get any helicopter parts?
Nope.
Oh, that's too bad. We might need to use a different tool. Okay. Are they down there?
Oh, this is the. Oh, it's right here. I see him.
Where the fuck are you? Okay.
Ass.
Do you have a lockpick?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna need you to try to open this big box.
About that. Hold up. We gotta.
Oh. Bitch ass.
Oh my god, there's a lot of shit in here. What the fuck?
Okay.
Alright. Wait, I got one shot. One opportunity.
Do not miss the chance. Oh god! No,
Alright, you have to protect me while I'm doing it.
Yeah, I got you.
Alright, you ready?
Uh-huh.
Wait, search or pick lock? I can search it? What happens if I just click search?
Try search. Nope. Okay, pick lock.
Alright, I'm doing it. Lock pick broke. It was halfway done. The lock pick broke.
Can anybody give us lockpicks?
Is there any way? Yeah, is there any way you guys give us lock picks, man?
Oh no, not they have to choose a horde for us.
What?
They have to choose a horde for us.
Huh? Chat, you're gonna go easy on us, right?
Yeah, you're not gonna pick the random horde, are you?
Chat, you
Here, take those pills.
Random one?
Okay,
Chat,
random tough horde. No, I didn't realize that was an option.
Random tough? Huh?
All right, Dar, we have an option. You know what we're gonna do? We're
Find
gonna
another lock pick?
no.
My thing's about to break.
Oh, I
Repaired it.
you got it? Okay.
I just have to repair it, yeah. Are you sure we want to be in here when the horde spawns?
Oh, I'll open the door. Oh God! Dar!
We don't have a way out, do we?
No. Oh, fuck!
Hey, Gene.
This might work.
Oh, wait.
Oh, there are bosses.
So the funny thing is, we're stuck.
This is fine.
Wait, big brain. If we do this, they'll open up all the pathways for us.
That's my hope.
Shit.
Okay, well. Hi, everybody. How you doing? This is fine.
Oh my god.
This is fine. This is normal. Gene and Daroard. I mean, hey, they can come out here and fight us.
I feel like, if we go down one at a time, we get all the way down. If you want, we can do that and then get back up.
There we are. Okay.
I feel like we shouldn't ignore the horde. That's not me.
That's not fun, no.
Yeah. All right, you ready?
All right, let's go back up.
All right.
Chad, if you give us jump, we'll get up there quicker. Just saying.
If you give us speed, we'll get up there quicker too, chat.
Oh, but they can't. They can't. I think it's because of the boss. They can't do it. Okay.
All right. Oh, it shows the health of action. Oh, it actually shows their health too. That's so cool.
I'm gonna waste all of my ammo for this.
Wait, because this is actually an integration thing. Do you think we might get something if we succeed?
Probably.
See, that one's almost dead.
But... Watch out,
Oh, no, not throwing me against the wall. I'm going in this room, backing up.
Coming. Okay.
Big lady's almost dead. Biker is not.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Big lady fell down the hole.
Biker killed me. Oh, they won. They won. We lost.
No!
I didn't realize we'd lose.
I didn't think we'd lose either.
I didn't realize we'd lose.
No, I wanted to know what happened if we won.
It was still cool though. It was still cool.
That was cool. That's now that we know. I'm assuming that. So here's my question for you: the integration unlocking, does it save on the progress of worlds?
Yes,
So, like,
it
if
is.
we
It is based on the
continue this
days.
world- Okay, so they'll have all this shit unlocked, so we'll probably get more horde events next time.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm assuming that's a more later shit, which we're now getting to.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's only day 3. We have not hit a blood moon yet.
Oh god, I'm scared of that.
Uh-huh.
I have yet to experience a blood moon in this game.
So we're gonna collect our shit. And then.
You want us to tear and break that box, or are we gonna not do that?
Nah, it's fine. We can always come back.
I mean, worst comes to worst, we can buy lockpicks from the one guy. And then
Also,
just
we
fucking
can
do
make
that.
a forge and build a base.
Yeah.
That's what they called you in high school, Blood Moon. That's kind of sick, actually.
Alright, well, I don't have to get my stuff because I didn't die. When you die, they all despawned.
Yeah, you lucky motherfucker.
You want to know what really is unfortunate, by the way?
What?
The one that killed you, the second it killed you, I killed it.
Aww.
It was like, it almost fucking saved you.
That's too bad. Next time. All right. And next time we will since we'll hit a blood moon probably, we'll need to actually build a fucking base. So we'll collect a bunch of shit. I guess since we beat this one, we have to make a new base. We have to figure out how to make smoothies, and then we can move to the next area.
So is this is our official like random playthrough with integrations actually beating the game?
Yeah, fuck it. Unless we want to completely start over, but I think it's cool.
I don't want to lose this fucking hunting rifle
Yeah.
and the spear, man.
Yeah, we'll keep going from here. Maybe we'll bring in like one extra buddy. We'll get one more friend. We need one more friend. We'll find a friend. Spawned in a secret
really
nuke.
Cool the amount of shit you get, like the amount of shit that we're able to get. I didn't realize they could actually give us good shit randomly.
Want some cuddles? Okay, chat. Well, that is gonna be. Yeah, he waited for me to die to the zombie and then killed it. I know, Amethyst. I know. That's what he did. He's a secret little bastard. Sneaky little
Jack,
bastard.
you know me well.
Okay, sweet. Then, you have friends. I have streaming collab partners. That counts, right? Okay. Well then. Okay, I'm gonna close the world. You ready? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I'll be nice.
You're gonna kill me, you bastard.
I had my crosshair directly.
I
on
see
your head.
you. Oh, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. All right, chat. How many people have been hanging out with us today? let's see. 30 fucking people. Jesus, hello 30 people. How y'all doing? We're gonna find somebody to raid into. We have... Thank you for the stretch. Do you want to see... Arknights. We have Luto. We can go raid our lovely, lovely capitalist sheep. They're always fun. I don't know what Luto is. What is this? Oh, that's an advertisement. I refuse. Sorry, I can't raid you because you have an advertisement. Sea of Stars. Yeah, we'll raid into the capitalist sheep. The capitalist sheep's always fun to raid into. It looks like they're doing a fun little horror game, so... Whatever Ludo is. What the fuck is Ludo? Alright, buddy. It's not a fucking meme. I do love you. I do love you all very, 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 very much. It's a board game. It does not look like a board game. Okay, y'all. Y'all have a good one. We're gonna go raid into this. We're gonna do a... Whoop. Whoop. I'm a board game? I don't believe you. But thank y'all for coming by. This was so much fun. We're definitely gonna have to do this again. Dar, did you have fun?
I'm gonna be real. Twitch integration and actually doing the game stuff makes this game so fucking fun.
So chat, go.
Really enjoyable.
Go check out Dar. Dar's great. And I will see you all next time, my lovely, lovely, lovelies. Thank you all for being here. This was a shit ton of fun. And I'll probably be in the Discord a little bit and just hang out there. So if y'all want to hang out, meet me there. All right, bye. Oh, you shouted out Dar, so I can't click the raid button. All right, chat. We're just gonna have to wait.
There should be an option to hide it. If you press view all, like you should be able to